My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. Did you need something?
Yes, I did. I wanted to know if you had a charger. And if there's something.
I do not have a charger. It's 12 o'clock at night. Please leave me alone.
Your wish is my command.
This is P.O.C. This is the fake moon right here. And this is where the military, you'll see in the images that I already published to X and Facebook, Instagram, showing the entity that's engaged in surveillance. This is a demon. That is the entity that is for it to be over as close to me as possible. If these demons could be in my skin and wear my pores, that's exactly what they would do. Okay, it's 12:18 in the morning, and this demon wants to be where I'm sleeping, comes and sits down next to me, don't know this fool, claims, starts talking, and does so while the military is stalking in planes and making their U-turn right here, where I'm taking pictures of it. That's what you'll see in the images. And the military is being federally prosecuted. That's a gang stalker, meaning that's a stalker that is targeting with the military. And the city of Ontario is sitting around stalking with sirens in concert with the military and in concert with this vagina monitor that's targeting with them. This is the entity of stalkers that are being prosecuted and subject to martial law, and everyone knows exactly how they're engaged in stalking me, one person, all that are under things like the fake moon at night stalking me and under a fake sun during the day stalking me, which is why they are being simultaneously diagnosed for severe mental instability, and they're going to understand why they should have stopped stalking when they're subject to being involuntarily committed and subject to martial law. This is 12. They're stalking at 12:19 in the morning. This is the entity that is severely mentally unwell, obsessed with me. And that's because their mental illness, their obsession is because they are mentally ill. They are demons. And these demons worship me. This is why they are stalking. In fact, this is P.O.C. This is who the demons are stalking with. That's called amplified audible activity. There's no planes taking off over here. And this is what I continuously take pictures of, the military that are doing U-turns in perfect alignment with my positioning. That's where I'm located, where I'm sitting at, where the fake moon is at as well. This is psychopathic behavior. This is severely mentally ill behavior. And the again, the leaders of the military branches that are gang stalking, the leader of the Air Force, okay, the superior over the Army, the demons that are leading this stalking conduct, stalking me in planes, you're being prosecuted as I capture this conduct after 12 o'clock in the morning, and you are going to prison. I don't need to know what your name is, but you are going to prison, and so is the demon that's in these planes. These are demons engaging in psychopathic pacing and are engaging with a stalk me. This is what that creepy stalker talking about, a charger where there's nowhere to plug it in. All right. And he's engaging in what is an engineer light, asking me for a charger, gang stalking me. Okay, with the stalkers of the military who are engaging in that conduct, sending a vagina monitor to be over here right next to me, wanting to be next to me, would sit there in my face to listen to me breathe, put their ear on my chest to listen to my heartbeat if I let them, just to touch my skin. This is how much obsessed with me the demons are, which is why they're spending money after 12 o'clock in the morning, stalking, flying in circles in planes. They're sitting out engaging in surveillance using Ontario police vehicles, just listening to me breathing, sounding sirens at my every move. This is an entity of dead people, and the dead are engaged in what is a criminal enterprise. And this is all based upon what is kidnapping children, eating them alive, drinking their blood. These non-humans that are engaged in this demonic pattern of conduct are psychopaths. And they engage in kidnapping children, having sex with them, torturing them, murdering them, stealing from them. And I am one who was subject to kidnapping by this same entity, the military, that are engaged in terrorism, not protecting the American people, not serving American interests, unless American interests are not what you think that they are. Okay? The military is doing perhaps what it was designed to do. And I'm documenting criminal activity, and this is going toward what is a criminal syndicate regarding kidnapping children. And I am a grown adult who's now prosecuting on behalf of children that are 6 feet under, that the military already murdered. And that's why they're up at 12 o'clock in the morning stalking me. And this was supposed to distract from prosecuting for murdering children, kidnapping them, stealing them, uprooting them and planting them in the United States so that they are subject to surveillance just like this, while they are subject to what is an ongoing trafficking system, where the gang stalkers that I'm documenting that are targeting me are engaged in trafficking children. Okay, I'm no child. I'm a grown adult, and the entity sought to gang stalk me into oblivion, gang stalk me into mental illness, into science. None of that was ever going to, and that doesn't even make any sense. You're necessarily assuming that I'm going to be affected by what it is that you engage in. And that's only when I'm a creature like you. I'm prosecuting the demons. I'm having the demons committed. I'm having them dishonorably discharged and put in prison. These are stalkers that are engaging in this, and this is after 12 o'clock in the morning. And if you are questioning whether Joy at the Upland Public Library is guilty of gang stalking, this is your answer. She absolutely is. The entity's stalking me 24 hours a day, everywhere that I go, including in the bathroom. This is the P.O.C. It's 12:26 a.m. This is evidence of obsession. The entity's obsession with me is an unlawful threat to my life and safety and well-being, where I cannot even use the bathroom without my vagina being kept under surveillance by the entity that's spending money even at nightfall to keep me under surveillance. This is exceeding stalking. They already know where I'm at. They're engaged in ongoing lapse in planes. And you know what else is going on? The people of the state are not asleep. They're not sleeping. The train activity, they're monitoring in the engineer light. They're not sleeping. Okay? This light activity is here because they are awake, stalking in the path. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 12:26 a.m. The people of the state are the ones that are levying war with the entity, the government, and the people of the state are going to compensate that American citizen. This is the entity that under the fake sun was stalking me by helicopter, and I documented that at 5th Street and at Granada under a fake sun. And the population is going to compensate the American citizen that they conspired to murder, that they kidnap as a child, that they uproot and sex traffic and steal from. Not only is this entity, the people of the state, going to compensate, but they will be liable. They are going to compensate an American citizen that they first conspired to murder by terrorizing them. This is going to be federal policy. It is federal policy. This is the P.O.C. It's not just going to be multi-million-dollar companies. Amazon can't pay for any of these brokies on welfare. They are going to come out of their own pockets and compensate an American citizen. This is the P.O.C. The ongoing train activity you hear is the evidence that the people of the state are stalking right now. It's the pattern of conduct under the fake moon. Okay, that's a demon that's stalking me. When you're listening to asking for a charger, that's the gang stalkers who are the people of the state, and they will be compensating for engaging in gang stalking. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 12:27 a.m. That is indeed P.O.C. And that is also the ongoing evidence of not only stalkers who are mentally ill and who are serving for the civil prosecution of the airline industry. It is 5:31 a.m. at the same location where the entity is after 12 o'clock in the morning stalking, and not headed to a destination, not engaged in any flight from an airport with passengers aboard. It's the same homosexuals of the cult, the U.S. military, the gang stalkers that are monitoring and stalking using commercial planes, spending a lot of money and a lot of resources, and have lost every ounce of their natural minds, which is why they are engaged in what is literally spending their last moments as free men and women stalking me, the one that's prosecuting them. The entity's doing this, and you're listening to cowards who didn't give you the loud, rambunctious, audible activity of a plane that's rumbling, because they know that it's being recorded, even though I recorded that as well. These are demons that lose their will. They lose their enthusiasm once they're caught at the outset. It's very pathetic, but these are mental. They have patterns that are very abnormal. It's already documented, and it's also already a matter of a sure conviction. But somehow or another, when they are engaged in stalking at the point of rising in elevation, they engage in making a U-turn. When I've captured you 17 previous times in the same day, stalking and hovering and completing your crossing of path conduct over the same building. But these are the behaviors of the entity. Nonetheless, it's 5:30 and the entity is stalking by planes. And this is where the entity was doing so pursuant to ongoing monitoring. The mentally ill are not under any circumstances in a position to stop themselves from engaging in that which is unlawful, engaging in that which is uncharacteristic, unfit, and proper for them to engage in based on the office that they hold, the positions that they are in. And this is also why the military that's engaging in stalking, terrorism, and doing so with a population, the people of the state, will be subject to martial law and involuntary commitments. This is the entity that is stalking and has no route to successfully even accomplishing their highly criminal and deranged objective in the first place. And nonetheless, it's speaking to the mind that is still focused on that which is not even feasible. The government is not sitting back and permitting the military to continue to act in furtherance of any murder, and they certainly aren't gang stalking for funsies. All right, they are in their mind engaging in that which they have been engaged in for a prolonged period, and the sick mind is engaging in that ongoing pattern in the face of what is a solid brick wall that they are looking dead at. They're looking at it and they're still persisting, and that is because they are in fact mentally ill. It's not because that they are convinced. They also know that there's no route to freedom and that they are going to prison. But I'm still documenting stalking on this day. It is June 26, 2026, and it's 5:34 a.m. And this is P.O.C. And the entity is stalking by plane. This is mentally ill behavior. They're both gang stalking and conversing with each other while they do so. That's audible activity. This is psychopathic pacing, and that's Securitas that's engaged in terrorism as well. That's all of that is represented while the entity is flying over and covering up the sky space. And the entity is gang stalking, and this is why when you engage in criminal activity with the mentally ill, which is not only the one that's waving at the camera, but the one that's wearing the security guard uniform and conducting themselves as though they're not gang stalking, wanting to be taken seriously in this video evidence. This is the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct with the military that's flying over by plane. The motorcycle is ongoing additional audible activity, and they're doing so while they are stalking me. This is that which exceeds stalking. It's not just falling from place to place. It's stalking with ongoing activity as I engage in movement. So that's why you have the planes that are not just stalking, but monitoring. And so are the demons that represent companies like Securitas and Ceres Regis Group. They're inside, just like the Ontario police were yesterday morning, stalking in the path with light. They're engaged in gang stalking they're the same demon-possessed entity, and the entity was stalking by plane right now while that motorcycle rode by with lights, and the demons are walking by, and they're doing so as I'm leaving the library. And this is the entity that is stalking, following by helicopter as I'm leaving Upland yesterday, but stalking and going to the Stater Brothers, where everybody's going to prison at that venue, where the entity's engaging what is the ongoing evidence, providing what is a conviction that's already been secured. This is the ongoing basis for prosecuting an entire entity that's represented by corporate actors and a population. While you're hearing plane activity, this is what you're mindful of, okay? This is stalking with the government, and it's also mental illness. These are dead people that sit around monitoring with the government, and they're engaging in obsessing over the person that they are gang stalking. That's Securitas that's over here. They're going to prison. Okay, I've documented Ontario Town Square. Mindful of is the entity that's gang stalking at the Town Square right now. Let you see here. That's what they're doing when they're holding their events, gang stalking at the Town Square. This is criminal activity, public corruption that Paul Leon, Alan D. Wapner, Jim Bowman, Deborah Parada, Daisy Macias, the current board, that's representative of the local government that's engaged in massive corruption. When you see all those bodies and the entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct as a population, more bodies, while the same P.O.C. is underway. And that's the basis of prosecuting the city of Ontario. And who is providing the evidence to prosecute their own co-defendant? The homosexuals, the mentally ill, who are the U.S. military, all right, who are engaged in what is psychopathic behavior based on their engagement in kidnapping children, having sex with them, torturing them, murdering them, draining their bodies and drinking their fluids because they're not human. This is the Nephilim. And the Nephilim have not only been exposed, These are why they are engaged in this obsessive, inhumane level of psychopathic criminal conduct. All right, because they're not humans. These are demons. Those are demons wearing Securitas uniforms. Those are demons that are sitting around in the middle of the night wanting to be next to me. Those are demons that are sitting around like nothing's happening when their criminal activity is no longer a mystery or a secret. All right, and they're engaging in it in front of your face. These are the Nephilim that are gang stalking at the police department. That's what they're engaged in, kidnapping and bringing. And the Nephilim kidnaps children and brings them to the United States and calls itself a military, calls itself a police department, calls itself a city. And calls itself conducting things like movie night, concert nights on Wednesdays. It does so under things like the fake sun and the fake moon. That's the Nephilim. That's engaging in gang stalking that I'm prosecuting. That's the Nephilim using commercial planes, all that money, all that energy. License plate TACO2U2. That's a Latino male on the outside. That's a demon-possessed individual that's engaging in criminal activity, the people of the state, a third party under the law. And that's also the Nephilim. This is the P.O.C. The demon-possessed are the Nephilim that are gang stalking, and they make up the demons that are stalking on the roads and the highways in California where murders are committed, not car accidents. And this is the entity that's engaging in that. This is relevant to a kidnapping system, an international system of what is trafficking children while they're gang stalking me. That's what's behind the mentally ill behavior, the inability to control themselves because they're not humans. That's impossible light across that. Yeah, that's P.O.C. 28125K4. That's an old white male. 28125K4. Turn on his turn signal as light activity. That's a hostile demon, and he's monitoring with the military. And he probably is one of the Nephilim that's a retired veteran. All right, the ones that we are giving ode to. I just want to be clear: participating in satanic, ritualistic sacrifices that the demons have made, the Nephilim have made with regard to the veterans that we honor. Those are sacrifices. Those are those that have engaged in this criminal system and have called themselves under the guise of being honorable men and women dying for this country. They have not died for these are sacrifices that these demons have made, and you're honoring what are satanic sacrifices when you're engaging in what is, for example, eating on Veterans Day and celebrating them and giving their pledge of allegiance to this satanic corrupt business that is the United States of America. And that's not a conspiracy theory. I am one that was kidnapped by the military. The reason why the military is still gang stalking, and the reason why the military is stalking when they've already lost the case, and while you're listening to plane after plane after plane, that's exactly what Securitas was engaging in, number one. Number two, the reason why they're engaging in that is because these are indeed not humans. These are this is the Nephilim. These are the demon possessed, and the Nephilim are going to be secured in mental institutions where they've tried to cloak themselves as human beings. And I've shown you through their pattern of conduct how mentally ill that is. That's how you're addressing what are actual animals, dogs, creatures that are engaging in that pattern. All right, they're engaging in this together. All these planes that are flying over, it's relevant to the public corruption that I've already shown is underway at the Ontario Town Square. And the entities engaged in this, and I just want to be clear, this is the basis of prison. This is conspicuous surveillance with the government. All right, it's as though you're flying in circles over me by helicopter here engaging in it, you're going to prison. All right, that's the pattern of conduct, and this is the Nephilim. These are demons. These are animals that are stalking with the government. That's just having a field day, flying plane after plane after plane. There's already published what is the airport schedule, and they're engaged in what is publishing that. Excuse me, I'm publishing that, and you're listening to the plane activity. It has nothing to do with that, which is taken off from the airport. And I want to be clear, they come to the United States. By they, I mean potential immigrants. This isn't even an English-speaking person that's been permitted to be in the country to keep us under surveillance. With the U.S. military that targets us with those that are coming to the United States to keep us under surveillance and do so. Who are the ones that they're keeping under surveillance? Children that are kidnapped internationally and brought to the U.S. so that the Nephilim of all races and ages are engaged in the P.O.C. Doesn't speak my language, right? But knows exactly what is the significance of what I'm documenting and is sharing in that with the security guard. That's the P.O.C. Okay, that's the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct. And you're talking about complaining about what when they're both engaged in criminal activity. This is that P.O.C. that I'm capturing. Because under the law, they're both engaged in criminal activity. But this is that entity that exists amongst public corruption. And that's also the basis of federal prison. But this is how that system exists. All right. The entities engaging in this while the military, that's not an employee. That's a third party. That's prison. That's exactly what's happening. This is the P.O.C., but I just want to be clear that this is psychopathic pacing over a senior citizen complex. And pay attention and look at the schedule of flights from the airport. And none of the flights from the airport, even if they were operating pursuant to that schedule, this is not. There are no flights that are occurring over the Ontario Civic Center, over a senior citizen complex. And you have, what is the entity that's gang stalking together? That's Securitas. And the one with the mop on her head is Securitas. Securitas employees are going to prison. They're going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. And that's the military that is targeting. License plate 17802 Bob 3. Clear Line Painting LLC is engaged in the criminal pattern of conduct. And you're looking at the video evidence of what I captured Ontario police doing yesterday. Gang stalking with the people that stayed inside of Sarah's Regis parking garage. That's the pattern of conduct. That's P.O.C. They're going to prison. Alrighty? That's the entity that is monitoring. This is relevant to the kidnappings that the United States military engaged in. This is relevant to the entity that engages in kidnapping children, and they eat them. That's what's stalking me. You need to understand that. And you know who else does? These are the demons that engage in the ongoing day-to-day, moment-by-moment stalking. The psychopaths inside of the Upland Public Library, like Joy, who I'm going to identify again. Joy is absurdly psychotic. She's a demon. All right? She cannot stop herself from pacing around the moment that I get up out of my seat or the moment that I start publishing damning evidence like this video. Okay? It gets loud in that library and demons start pacing around even more furiously. These are not humans. This is the Nephilim that are eating human beings, and moreover, they're eating those that are anointed children of God. They're kidnapping them as children. They're killing their relatives, stealing their inheritances, their money, their wealth, like what the entity has done to me. They're sexually violating them, kidnapping them and placing them amongst a family of the Nephilim, like what Tracy Banks is, like what Eric Spencer is. These demons that are making themselves my family and staying around me and siphoning all of my money, my wealth, and also spiritually attacking, monitoring, permitting the government to be in that household and keep my childish age vagina under surveillance. The Nephilim are violent sex offenders. That's why their kids, who are demons, are engaging in monitoring as well. That's why the Nephilim are congregating at churches, gang stalking me like Bethel congregation is. Okay, that's why the Nephilim are obsessed with my vagina, stalking in bathrooms. All of the unprecedented, unfathomable acts of gang stalking, first of all, but gang stalking in the ways in which I've shown you. They're stalking on the elevator. They're stalking on the freeway. They're surrounding you. They're stalking in your home under the guise of being your friends and family. They're stalking you in the classroom when you're getting your higher education, the professor and everybody else in there, the janitor that's in the hallway, stalking in the path by fixing the light bulb. They're stalking you in the bathroom stalls. All right, this is the Nephilim. They're not animals. And that's what's stalking plane after plane after plane after plane after plane after plane after plane right here. And they eat human beings. They drink their blood. It's not just Hollywood flicks regarding Dracula. The demons have told you a long time ago what they do. They make entertainment out of it while they take your money, and you don't know that they're actually giving you information about what they actually want from you and keeping you under surveillance. While they also condition your mind, those of you who are subscribing to demons, who are listening to demons, who are conditioning and selling you witchcraft. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 6:15 a.m. The entity's going to prison. Securitas employees are going to prison. The demons gang stalking of the Ontario police yesterday morning, they're going to prison. The demons, the employees, the Nephilim that work inside of the Ovid Family Community Library and the Upland Public Library, they're going to federal prison. And I'm going to prosecute gang stalking businesses like Walmart, like Clear Line Painting LLC, like Securitas, like Sarah's Regis Group, Downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments, like related companies, the Senior Citizen Company. They're all being federally prosecuted for terrorism. This is P.O.C. It is currently 6:16 a.m. This is psychopathic pacing. This is all psychopathic pacing. She's going to prison. This is the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct together. And they are gang stalking very well, pursuant to what is a kidnapping system. That's the whole purpose for everybody that lives in the country. They're engaging in surveillance, maintaining a system where children are trafficked and they're murdered. They come up missing and their bodies are drained of blood. The Nephilim are surviving off of the bodily fluids of those, which is what I've told you about. These homosexual lesbians that follow me into the bathroom, rushing through and trifling through the trash can to find a used tampon, to find a used maxi pad, all right, in order to literally stalking me, not just monitoring my vagina, but stalking me for my bodily fluids. They're not humans. And that's not a story made up. This is relevant to criminal activity that the demon-possessed are being prosecuted for. And they're gang stalking the person that's exposing all of the facts. The U.S. military, they're not just going to be committed because of the ways in which they're stalking, which is deranged. They're going because they're into eating children. All right, and the terrorist leaders over these military branches are indeed going to prison. This is P.O.C. All right, you're going to run the tape back and listen to how many fly over, because this is the same criminal activity that the demons of the Ontario Police Department were engaging in, criminal surveillance, and it does not look different, and it's not different under the law when you are doing the same thing, stalking in the path with the military, with a police vehicle, stalking with light, talking to them, which is gang stalking with them. That's the P.O.C. That's psychopathic pacing. Play the tape back and count how many planes the entity just used to engage in what is flying over, monitoring with the people of the state who are stalking me as a population. And they are stalking the one that the entity together kidnapped me. And this is also a basis for the entity that levies war against an American citizen, the people of the state. It's not just going to be the government. It's not just going to be those companies. The people, the demons themselves are going to come out of their pockets, whether they lose their homes, whether they lose whatever it is, stability that they have. Nobody's concerned about that. These are terrorists, and they're going to compensate the target individual. And that's going to remain a debt. And that's if they don't go to prison. That's under circumstances of not being deported. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 6:18 a.m. .517 West Vesta. License plate 9 Frank Victor Apple 414 is gang stalking with the military that's flying over the facilitating venues where the people of the state reside. People of the state that are recipients of welfare, government assistance, in the neighborhood where the entity is stalking with an entire environment conducive to their engagement in surveillance, which they are engaging in right now, while the government exposes that about them by flying over their government-funded housing. All right, this is the P.O.C. They are stalking on the roads and the highways. That's what this is, sitting in the middle of the intersection. Reversing is light activity. These are the demons that are also immigrants. Over here on Vesta, I have the Southwest Airlines flying over Ontario Plaza Apartments already, making a fool of itself and forgetful of what's already documented. This is why when you are stalking, you are forced to remain in a position behind the one that you're stalking that's maintaining a body of evidence about it. They're all stalking in the middle of the street. They're all being federally prosecuted as well. And what's going to happen with those that are relying on the government to pay for their rent? They're automatically going to be homeless. So they're gang stalking, and they gang stalk themselves into homelessness. And that is justice. They're into kidnapping children, trafficking them, eating them, consuming them, feeding them to the, while they're trafficking, they're gang stalking and engaging in that trafficking system by doing so with the military that is putting children like myself in the neighborhoods where demons like the Nephilim in this welfare receiving society over here, this gang stalking street, where all these brokies are monitoring equally with the celebrities, the wealthy that are company owners, the companies that are gang stalking me, the celebrities that are gang stalking, monitoring me, keeping me under surveillance, and doing so while they are very much engaged in the trafficking system. Okay, Ontario Plaza Apartments. This is the entity that's monitoring on this street. This is Bonita. We already have the entity stalking. And this is the entity that's no longer flying over the parking lot. They're flying right here, where you hear it. And this is over the back portion of the Ontario Village Shopping Center, stalking me as a 7BIR 135, stalking me as an entity that's maintaining surveillance, just like I stated, flying over all areas of the Ontario Village Shopping Center that's been documented engaging in this pattern of conduct. This pattern of conduct is more than just surveillance. It's the criminal system that the surveillance system serves. And Ontario Village Shopping Center maintains no right under the law to remain while they're engaging in what is facilitating, enabling a federal government to keep children under surveillance, gang stalk them, and further into murdering them, not only to obstruct justice, but also that they are engaging in what is essentially kidnapping, stealing from, violating children. That's what this gang stalking system is about. This is why the entity is maintaining surveillance in a grocery store. This is why they're gang stalking where they live and on the roads and the highways. They keep children under surveillance in the U.S., and they do so while they then violate them, torment them, torture them, murder them, and even consume their bodily fluids. These are not humans that are gang stalking. Like I stated, these are demons. And you're looking at in the U.S. how they are maintaining multi-million-dollar businesses in doing so. This is a demon. License 9G72522. This is Ready ICE. That's gang stalking. P.O.C. with the military. Ready ICE is monitoring. This is light activity while the entity just flew over. Ready ICE is monitoring while the military flies over this village. 4VJ1130 is the license plate of Arctic Glacier Premium Ice. And it's not a distraction from the ongoing child trafficking system that Arctic Glacier Premium Ice, as a corporate entity, is engaging in monitoring with, and literally providing the guise of the government through the creation of companies that are engaging in surveillance. Surveillance, which is serving a child trafficking system where they murder the children that they're kidnapping and they consume them and their fluids. They drink their blood. These are demons, like I stated. And the demons that are obsessively stalking and exposing the employees, such as everybody inside of Stater Brothers, that's because they're not human with natural concerns in the first place. And these demons are going to federal prison, and they're going to federal prison with the ongoing knowledge before they do so that everything that they've been engaged in is being exposed, including the fact that they're not human beings and that they eat children. They sexually violate them. They traffic them. They steal from them, like what this entity did to me. 7NBS390 is not just a stalker. They're a gang stalker, and they're engaged in and interested in and keeping children that are kidnapped, just like me, under surveillance and furtherance of murdering them and consuming them. And this is what celebrities in California are engaged in. And they do so while they are feeding themselves what is that which they're these demons, these psychopaths, consuming and drinking the blood and eating the flesh of those that are anointed of God, that are gifted. They eat them. They're not humans. This is the Nephilim. This is what you need to understand about the gang stalkers. There is nothing that is merely criminal on its face that David Quinones is engaging in inside of this grocery store. And the celebrities that you are celebrating, that you're following on the internet abroad. This is the system that they're engaging in. This is what gang stalking serves. It is literally about children that are born who are kidnapped by these demons, brought to the U.S., kept under inhumane means of surveillance, violated, including sexually violated, and murdered. And then the demons are engaging in that. And they bring them to the U.S. to gang stalk them in grocery stores like what Stater Brothers is doing. This is the P.O.C. The entity is stalking by plane. Everybody in this store is stalking. Everybody. And all the employees are going to prison, including Lupe. Okay? The angry demon. All right, it is currently 6:44 a.m. So what you'll see in the images immediately following into the bathroom is the military via the people of the state, doing so at 6 in the morning. While the entity is following into the bathroom, you'll see the employee. This is a vendor. This is an employee of the entity. They're all third parties. They're all gang stalking inside of the building of the grocery store itself. Going into the bathroom, maintaining presence, and remaining in the hallway, communication device in tow. The demons that are the management that are on the second level of the Stater Brothers, if you're familiar with the way that they are designed inside of the store, they're pacing, they're stalking with amplified noise while the stalker's in the bathroom stall monitoring me, and the stalker is in the hallway. This is a Latino male staring down into his communication device, taking a picture of that at 6:44 a.m. Lupe, the gang stalkers at register number 1 are maintaining presence. This is maintaining presence every move that I make inside of the store, stalking in the path. And this is what the entity is doing by planes. Every move that I make, stalking. And these are the mentally ill that consume children. They consume people, humans. This is the Nephilim. That's what's gang stalking. That's what you need to understand. And this is what they're doing pursuant to what is surveillance that's serving what is exposing them. Because I'm a full-grown adult now, and I'm speaking to what they do to children, which the entity did to me, but the entity kept me alive, and that's only because, it's because of Christ Jesus, but for their purposes, in their minds, they were getting a steady supply from me. And you're talking about what is the ability to sustain themselves, an abundance of energy, if you will, sexually violating Tommy Allen Banks. He's a pedophile, okay, and he is not only a part of this Masonic culture, the Masonic cult. He is a member of that, but he is also a member of the cult that is equally engaging in this system and is equally a cult member. While they don't identify overtly as Masons, they identify as the United States Air Force. Okay, that's what Tommy Allen Banks, who married Tracy Banks, the Nephilim, this demon that's engaged in sexually violating me, monitoring me, spiritually attacking me through. And how are you spiritually attacking also children? How you spiritually attack anybody? I'm showing you gang stalking. This is about intimidation. This is about harassment. This is about even battery, abuse, the poison, the stalking. This is about even stalking as a population that's supposed to outwardly conduct itself as though it's not happening. That's supposed to play on your mind, but everybody knows what, because I've exposed to you what they are doing, and that's because I am aware of what demons are doing, and I know that they're demons. The entity never counted on you being a witness, meaning they thought that they were going to silence me and kill me off. I was supposed to be dead, not speaking. Not only not speaking, but people listening and witnessing and listening and believing what it is that I'm speaking about. They did not count on any of that. And because these are demons, these are lower beings, and they do not know Christ Jesus, okay? And the Lord God is what is exposing what what Satan is doing. And so they did not count on those things, but outside of what they counted on, we're traveling into the mind of the sick mind of the Nephilim, these demons who are dressing themselves up as people, who are currently stalking in a grocery store and stalking in the bathroom of that grocery store. And it's directly tied to the demons that just used planes and followed me from one place to another. All right, throughout the entire neighborhood, everybody in that neighborhood is stalking as that system is operated, meaning everybody in the city, no matter where I go, are targeting with that entity that flies over their homes, engaging in that pattern of conduct in that environment, stalking on the roads and the highways, engaging in that pattern of conduct. So I just want to be clear, the pedophiles that include Tracy Banks, that married a pedophile, Tommy Allen Banks, a part of this cult that is the military, and is also a part of literally he is a Mason, okay? These are cult members that are targeting. This is also related to Leroy Lomaxis Spencer, whose involvement in my life is very scarce. Again, overtly. Okay, so this is a child. As a child, I'm not seeing him, but that doesn't mean that he wasn't around. These are stalkers. So he just didn't want to be involved in my life. So that does not mean because he did not have involvement with me for a majority of the time that he was not involved in my life. So that's number one, and I understand that. Number two, you're talking about what is not stopping him from monitoring me at all, and also not benefiting from my being subject to this pattern of conduct. This is an entity that has been stealing from me, but also spiritually monitoring. You need to understand the purpose of the demons who are not humans, consuming the bodies of children, drinking their fluids, doing disgusting things like what you've heard you've associated it merely with sexual fetishes. What you've heard people like P. Diddy, what you've heard people like R. Kelly engaging in, consuming feces during the course of sexual activity, being urinated on, even urinating on others as some means of what is combining sexual activity with what is also a demented desire, as normal people are learning about the type of things that demons practice through what is sexual activity. Sexual activity is what is regarding what is a means of spiritually siphoning someone. So this is also why the Word of God says not to fornicate, not to engage in adultery. You're literally engaging in demonic conduct. You're practicing witchcraft. You are enabling Satan to take from you. You're permitting spirits, foreign spirits, into your body. You're ignorant about all that. And this is why the marriage bed alone is blessed and covered by God. The institution that He created, which is marriage, which Satan, the demons, even the demon-possessed celebrities that want to sell you polyamorous lifestyles. They want to sell you promiscuity. They want to sell you things like abortion. They want to sell you things like the fruitlessness, the worthlessness, the mocking the institution of marriage. And that's to keep you in a state of being like them. The dogs need you. The Nephilim need you to be in sin, which is a spirit, and they're able to target you through things such as witchcraft. Witchcraft that you are also consuming while you listen to their music. And they're casting spells over you. They're controlling, they are conditioning your mind. They're affecting the way you think. They're affecting your outlook. But I'm going to digress on that. This is relevant to the entity that kidnapped me as a child and that is still monitoring me, stalking me. And the entity's doing so now. I'm a full-grown adult. And I'm aware of the things that they've stolen from me. But however, this is relevant to things that you've heard of. Sexual activity, urinating on your sex partner, doing so typically with those that are younger. Okay, you're talking about statutory rape. That's nothing other than pedophilia. that's put in some term that makes it a little bit more palatable. Oh, they're just underage. No, that's a child. You're having sex with children. That is relevant to what is siphoning, how demons are spiritually abusing while they're also sexually violating them. This is what the entity is doing, what demons are doing to children that they're kidnapping across the world, across the globe. They're doing this to those that are anointed, called of God. They're kidnapping them, murdering them. Before they murder them, they sexually violate them. And that's relevant to demons that are feeding off of the spiritual abundance, if you will, of those that are targeted by this entity. Okay, I was targeted based on my spiritual identity, okay, based on my bloodline, where I come from. And the demons that are monitoring you, ignorant to you, they know whether you're saved or not, because they know your identity. They know if you walk with Christ. They're also literally stalking you and keeping you under surveillance. So when you're going to your gay boyfriend's house, they're aware of the fact, and they enjoy witnessing you in sin, engaging in witchcraft, homosexuality, and they know when you haven't told your girlfriend that you're gay, and then you go to your girlfriend's house and you're having sex with them, and then they're also monitoring you and stalking you as you are looking at porn on your phone, and in other words, that Jezebel spirit that has full control over you, you are already under their control. Those are not the ones that they're monitoring. Okay, they are targeting those that are walking with Christ. They are targeting those that are a part of what is a royal bloodline, and that is speaking to things, again, these fake pastors are not talking about. And that's because they are literally engaged in targeting them, but also they don't want to educate. And by educating, I mean they don't want you to know about your identity, and your ignorance is necessary. The entity is engaging in this conduct necessary in order for them to target you. So the perverted sexual activity that you heard of through celebrities, it's no secret, and I'm also not going to be protecting anyone. This is relevant to what is not just sexual perversion, it's relevant to what are demons who are engaging in consuming, typically predatory, in that they're typically younger. Okay, this is the entity that's engaged in trafficking children, kidnapping them, flying them across the world, which these demon-possessed celebrities they have the resources to do that. They even go to other parts of the world where they don't have the laws that we have in the United States, and these are laws. They're real laws that they exist, but as you see the federal government violating those laws, and they're the ones that are the criminals engaging in the violation of the laws, those laws therefore create what is an illusion of protection. And it is very much an illusion when the government's the one that's kidnapping you, the government's the one that's sexually violating you, the government's the one that's then murdering you and covering up the fact that you were even murdered in the first place. The government calls you a missing person, and they are the ones that killed that child and buried them in the desert in between Vegas and California to never be found. Okay, and before they did that, they drained that child's body, took all their blood. These are the type of things that they're engaging in, and this is going back to the sexually perverted acts that you've heard of, because I'm making a point. This is getting to what is the entity that's engaging in forms of spiritually attacking. It's like the combination of that which is happening in the spirit, that which is already present. It's spiritually present, but you can't see the spirit. Okay, just like you can't see your thoughts, to translate that for you. Okay, you can't see your thoughts, they're invisible. That's relevant to the spiritual realm. What you physically do, for example, stealing something, that's a product of where you are already at mentally, which is something that is spiritually deposited in you. So this is how your behavior is directly rooted to what is going on with you spiritually, who you are spiritually, what you're serving, okay, whether you serve God or whether you serve the devil, okay, whether you are in bondage, in sin, or whether you are free indeed in Christ, meaning you make a decision and you don't walk in bondage of sin, okay, you're not bound by some addiction, some sex addiction, from drug addiction, some alcohol addiction, etc. The entity that is people such as Leroy Lomax and Spencer, these are sex offenders, predators, who are related to, and by related I don't mean blood related, I mean even though there's Leroy Lomax and Spencer and Tracy Banks, like I said, there needs to be confirmation regarding Tracy Banks and Leroy Lomax and Spencer actual relation to me, establishing both of them as my biological parents, one or both of them as my biological parents. But Tommy Allen Banks is one that Tracy Banks married, and these are sex offenders that engaged in. He's a part of the cult that is the military, and he's literally a part of the Masonic cult as well. And this is not something that he ever professed to me. This is something that I learned well after, as I'm an adult. I knew he was in the military, but I did not know that he was a Mason. And that's only relevant regarding this cult that's engaged in. And it's not different from Scientology, by the way. That's a cult as well. Satan is going by different labels, different titles, different names. It's the same entity, the same Satanists, okay? So this is like, it can get really intricate, but actually it's very simple. I just want to get to what is relevant to the right here and now, where they're going to the extent of stalking me in the bathroom inside of the grocery store, stalking me in aisle number 14 of that grocery store. Okay, they're not looking at the cookies next to me. They're stalking in the path. They're crossing path with regard to what is actually being very hostile to everything that I'm talking about. And also pursuant to the operation of my device, these are demons that are monitoring. And these demons are monitoring and hostile toward me while I'm exposing that which they are engaging in as a system in the U.S., which the military is leading. All right. Kidnapping, trafficking children, and they are sexually violating them before they murder them. And why are they targeting particular children? They're targeting those that they are aware of. And how are they aware of that which you cannot physically see? Because they are in fact demons. Why are they targeting me? For no physical obvious reason, okay? Other than the fact that they are demons who know who I am spiritually. Okay, they don't know everything. They obviously did not know that I'm impervious to your witchcraft because I walk with Christ. I'm not out here faking it, saying that I'm a Christian, but I'm actually a witch. Okay, I am some sort of, I don't even claim titles, but like a prophet, someone claiming to be a prophet, but they're actually a Jezebel, a whore, a witch. That's what Satan does. So they have these abilities to tell you about what's going on in the spiritual realm. That's because they're monitoring. They're a witch. They're not a prophet. They're not getting their information from the Holy Spirit. They're not getting information supernaturally. They're getting it because they are stalking. And how is Satan stalking? Satan is stalking by monitoring you. And I've shown you how that monitoring system is occurring in the United States under a fake sun while they're monitoring me. This is going on throughout the United States. This is why you can get on YouTube and watch somebody talk about the eagles in some sort of area out in the Carolinas, and you will see the fake sun over them. It's not the natural environment. All right. This is what is going on throughout the country, and the entities engaging in that pattern of conduct while they are engaging in what is kidnapping children, engaging in what is not only kidnapping children, but also violating them in ways that are exceeding that which is pedophilia is horrible enough, but this is exceeding pedophilia. You're talking about the need to defecate on them, the need to urinate on them, to the entity that has a need to record these things. These are the ways in which they're engaging in what is ritualistic behavior. And you have heard of these types of behaviors by celebrities, okay? Celebrities that are, by the way, also incarcerated. And this is the part of the purposes of what they engage in. It's exceeding that of a pervert. It's not mere perversion. It is perverted, but that's only addressing the physical characteristics. This is satanic, okay? This is what Satan is doing with regard to sucking spiritual life out of those that they are violating. And they are doing that typically to those that are spiritually abundant like myself, because I'm well over 18, okay? If I were subject to that sort of conduct. They're doing it to those that are also spiritually abundant children, okay? And they're doing this to those, that innocence, that youthfulness, and also those that are anointed. These are children that are called of God. These are children that are being targeted based on what it is that demons are seeking to devour from them. And what is it that they're doing? While they engage in this practice of witchcraft, which is leading to what is murder, kidnapping, rape, torture, mayhem. This is an entity that's engaging in what is trafficking as well. All of these crimes, which you're prosecuting with and proving with tangible evidence, is getting to what is a practice of witchcraft, which celebrities are connected to. The celebrities that are engaging in this system, many of whose names you're going to learn, they are literally monitoring me and gang stalking me so violently, so obviously, so desperately, because of those that are fearful of being exposed literally through my evidence, okay? They are being prosecuted for crimes, but you need to understand that these are demons. They're not humans. So the ones who are recording rap albums that you are listening to, you're listening to the Nephilim. There's no other way for me to put that to you. You're listening to demons. This is the Nephilim that are engaging in what is they brag about. They don't write anything down. They freestyle their whole record. Those are demons. It's not talent, first of all. And you know how they are feeding those demons. They literally consume children. They fly across the globe, or they use their money that permits the ability to go across the world. And using those resources, things like you've heard Epstein and the island and all those people whose names on list and they don't want to be exposed. This is the same sort of system that is relevant. And this is an entity that is using what they have, resources, money, to go outside of the U.S. And they even engage in kidnapping, bringing them to the U.S. literally as a child and creating their whole life. And a child's not going to question that also. They don't know that that's not their mom. They don't know that that's not their dad. That's not their brother. And that they're living in the ghetto out in Compton when they were born into wealth. And the government stole that wealth. And they are living in those circumstances in a gang-infested neighborhood, seeking to change the whole trajectory of their life, where they think that they were born in the hood, they were born and raised in the hood, and they become a part of that hood, and hopefully they die of gang violence or something like. This is what the entity is doing when they are stealing the destinies of children, and they do so while they're also trafficking them. They're having sex with them. This having sex with children is more than just the physical satiation. Understand that these are demons. These are demons that are violating children, and it is for a spiritual purpose, but that spiritual purpose is accomplished through the physical act of perversion of having sex with children. Okay, and that's why the demon-possessed person has an impulse to have sex with children. It's literally a craving. They don't want an adult the same age as them. They want children, and it's even more specific with these celebrities that are seeking to steal destinies. This is how they reach fame. This is how they keep fame. This is how they keep literally wealth, money. They do so by serving Satan and sacrificing children, and they are sacrificing certain types of children. So I just want to familiarize you with the level of criminal activity that the celebrities that you idolize, that they're engaged in. Okay, and they are very much engaged in targeting me, harassing and gang stalking me, merely because they don't want me to speak about it. And they thought that gang stalking me was going to make me, number one, go crazy, number two, get caught up and as a criminal. You're going to kidnap me, you're going to get me locked up in prison for 25 years, and then I'll shut up, and then once I'm locked up, they're going to take my life in that facility. That's literally what they plan to do. Once it's not enough to have me kidnapped in a facility or in prison, they plan on killing me inside of that facility. That's what the entity planned to do. That's literally the plan. Okay, and Tracy Banks, Eric Spencer, Tommy Allen Banks, Leroy Lomax's Spencer, everybody that perjured themselves by going in federal court, down to Gregory Hooper, Ruth Hooper, these demons that I'm not even related to, that I used to congregate with at Sunrise Church in Rialto, are perjuring themselves in court, lying about my character in the interest of my being kidnapped and ultimately murdered. Okay, that's why they're in court lying about me being mentally ill, which they are in no position to diagnose. They are lying about events and things that happened that made them think, oh, there's something wrong with they're lying. Okay, I am not going to. The bottom line is Gregory Hooper and Ruth Hooper were demons. They're the Nephilim, and they were engaged in I've showed you what I've documented, the pattern of conduct literally under the law, but those were demons that were monitoring me at a fake church. None of them are believers in Christ, and I am the only one, and I did not know that, and I am the one that is worshiping the Lord God as a worship leader at that church, and they are worshiping me while I am worshiping the Lord God. They were siphoning me spiritually, stealing from me while they were monitoring me. So everything that I do, I'm in school. I am praying about what the Lord God wants me to do in my life, and I'm getting direction to go to law school. But even as I'm a poli-sci major, I'm being gang stalked. I'm being targeted by San Bernardino police at Cal State San Bernardino. This is my life. This is my everyday circumstances. While I also go to church, and I'm surrounded by a whole bunch of fake Christians who are monitoring me. And while I'm on stage, and they would stream the services every week, these are demons that were monitoring, and they typically are watching you on film. They're obsessing over you. They're having sex rituals while they stare at you, while they chant your name. This is witchcraft that these demons have been engaged in for years. They are in fact the ones that are mentally ill, and they expose that about themselves while they go into any courtroom, perjuring the character of any American citizen, because this is a system, what Gregory Hooper and Ruth Hooper engaged in. This is a system, not just a federal offense that they committed. It's a system that the government maintains in the U.S., pursuant to what I represent, children that are kidnapped and that they're abused by every facet of the system. They're not holding any legitimate court hearings. They're not engaged in any acts of law enforcement pursuant to the target individual. They know exactly who you are. This is the entity that's engaged in stalking you 24/7, including through gang stalking police departments. And the environment is the proof of that. The environment, the evidence that I've shown you, that is the P.O.C. Okay? Relevant context is you need to know that there's a whole syndicate, a criminal system regarding children like me, okay, who demons know are gifted, and they want to siphon that, and the ways in which witchcraft, the spiritual realm, is real. I hope that I'm not losing you, but this is context, because this is what the demons don't want me to speak about, and that's exactly what I'm going to speak about. You want to stalk me in 17, 18, 28 planes? I'm going to speak to the fact that celebrities are going to prison for having sex with children, and that's because they're demons. They are the Nephilim, and you've been supporting them. In fact, they've been given American Music Awards and Grammys and MTV Awards, and they're demons, and you're celebrating what they're actually doing and how they get to the position that they're at by feeding Satan children. Okay? And how do they feed children to Satan? They have sex with them. And how do they even get to a situation to where they're able to have sex with them? They are kidnapping them. They are flying to other parts or sending their money, and other people are handling them. Trafficking. These are federal charges that you've heard of in these celebrities court cases, and you're going to learn more about it. Their money is going out and pursuing these children while they send out workers to do their dirty deeds. And it is related to what would be a RICO case. Okay, you've got a system going on of trafficking kids, kidnapping kids, and they're doing so across the globe, and they're doing so while they are violating them, having sex with them. That's relevant to spiritually. These are demons that are feeding. They're feeding what is their lifestyle. And this is, in case you did not know, how the wicked are able to be, quote unquote, rewarded with fame because of what they do behind the scenes in honor of Satan. And this is you. I just want to be clear. The ways in which you are celebrating, because many of you are ignorant. But I want to be clear. When you stand before Christ Jesus, your being ignorant is not an excuse. And this does not mean that you need to go and study witchcraft either. Because that's not what this is. I don't study it. I don't study that. I'm not into it. But while I've been subject to it, I've learned a lot. And I'm also going to expose the devil. Okay, but this is not, you need to go and study about Oshun or read all these demons that these celebrities like Beyonce and Megan Thee Stallion, Summer Walker, these demons that are promoting Satanism to you. They're selling it to you. And they do so through literally even their success. And you see how rich and wealthy, and you see how desirable their lifestyles are, or so you think. That's what you're looking at. And you don't know what's going on in the background regarding how these celebrities are getting to where they're at. And this is related to the entity that is engaged in what is these satanic practices, and that which is a satanic practice tends to be criminal under the law, and that which is satanic not only tends to be criminal, it's egregious. It's things that they would never speak of. And this is the entity that engaged in what I'm speaking to is the entity that engaged in this toward me. I am an adult now. And the entity tried to engage in what are things such as witchcraft, keeping me around. You're talking about what is spiritually abundant. So as a child, and they're spiritually attacking me. This is having a spiritual abundance, if you will, of what is energy. This is what is fueling Tracy Banks as she's not a human. She's a demon. And pedophiles like Tommy Allen Banks and Eric Spencer, who is younger, acting like he's a sibling of mine. But you're talking about what is probable cause to suspect that Tracy is not my mother. That would make Eric her son, but Eric would more so be my cousin. Perhaps even maybe my nephew, not my brother. But nonetheless, this is an entity that's engaged. They're all playing a role around me while they're all spiritually attacking my entire life. And I have such an abundance of spiritual, I'll just say spiritual resources, if you will, while God has anointed me and called me to something in my life. And it was literally a means of protecting me. They didn't take my life because they felt as though there was something that they could still benefit from me. But this is typically what they're doing. They're kidnapping children. They being, celebrities, politicians. You've seen the news stories. This is what I'm describing. You've seen the news stories, because I'm not going to drop a whole bunch of names. And that's not because I'm fearful or I'm protecting anybody. It's because I am speaking generally about what is a common practice. It's not foreign. It's not an anomaly. This is very common. Very common. And it's down to being gang stalked in the bathroom of the grocery store in the city of Ontario. Okay? This is the entity that's gang stalking as a last desperate resort. And that's not going to protect these celebrities from being identified on my podcast. At all. It's not going to protect you. It's not distracting me. What you're doing is you're reaping what is going to be very painful and humiliating public demise. Not only will I identify you by name, but I'll speak to specific acts that you're engaging in. As surely as those cult leaders of the military that you are paying, that are on your payroll. I'm talking to the demon-possessed celebrities right now. While you're targeting the person that's going to prosecute you at a distance, literally through a podcast that's published on social media. Okay, if you have not already witnessed how I do not back down from Satan, but that's what you are, ask the Ontario Police Department. Ask the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. Because all of the uniforms that Satan wears are the very uniforms that I am taking. Because this is a system, and you are a part of that system, and I will expose you as well. I will especially expose you because you're the reason why they're engaging in it. You're the one that's paying them. You're financing them. They're on your payroll. This is how they get that audacity to do such foolish things, such as engaging in what is a battery after no crime has been committed. You know what? Because somebody like you was paying them, and they'll risk that for that check. You are going to be identified and you're going to be prosecuted because it's a whole system. And I'm speaking to the demons that are celebrities right now that think that gang stalking me with the military, which is what the entity's doing, stalking me from the library to the Stater Brothers. And this is why you're engaged. Well, I've posed that question, that hypothetical question before. Why would you engage in this? I've already proven it's already a matter of being convicted. Why would they do that? Because they are on the payroll. They are still being compensated and they are interested in even this last Hail Mary desperation. Well, the witchcraft doesn't work on Erica, and it's fully exposed what we're doing. And they know that they don't have a successful route, but understand, they just think now it's just a matter of if we just inundate her with so much harassment and stalking that she'll be so overwhelmed with that she won't be able to focus and think about and talk about what it is that we did and what we do to other kids and what we do to other people and naming. She won't hear, in other words, she won't get any downloads. The Holy Spirit, she won't hear anything. They're hoping I'll be so distracted I won't be able to start naming people, naming demons, okay, by songs, songs that they're writing, so music, concerts that they're holding, tours that they're on right now, albums that they created off of monitoring me, movies that are made out here, directors and actors and singers and rappers, etc. They don't want to be specifically identified. And that is a plan fail. It's as stupid and idiotic as flying in circles over me by helicopter. And then you think, oh, it's not a matter of whether you think. Paul Leon doesn't care that he's going to federal prison. That's how desperate they are. He's willing to go to federal prison. They're sacrificing themselves because this is how desperate they are. You have people that are paying behind the scenes for what the entity is doing to me because they are desperate to just maintain a level of secrecy until the last moment that they can spin as anonymous as possible. That's all an illusion. There is no anonymity. There's no secrecy. And I mean, when I say down, I mean down to the syllabic breakdown of not only federal charges, but the identity of those, their celebrity identity and their real government name. Okay, you've been calling them some other name. I'm not even gonna. You've been calling them some other name, but that's not even their real name. You're going to become acquainted with that. But that's relevant behind the entity that's gang stalking me so heavily. It's out of fear, okay? And what the entity is doing, you need to understand these celebrities that are residing in California. These are demons that are in the positions that they're in, not off of talent. This is a part of a system, literally the Hollywood studios, the movies where they shoot the movies, where they make these televisions, these producers that are in these positions to hire actors and pay them salaries. They have they're recording albums, they're becoming singers, they're influencing the masses, they're serving Satan while doing so. They even get into those positions. They maintain those positions by virtue of what is this ongoing system that is literally surviving. The sustenance is on the blood of children. It's based upon the blood of children, the lives of children. Okay, so that's what I want you to know about how serious this gang stalking system is. Gang stalking with me is a Hail Mary result. Okay, none of that witchcraft works on me, and I'm still alive and breathing, and I'm also not going anywhere. And this is an entity that's I'm not only am I not going anywhere, I'm going to prosecute you, and the entity is going to compensate me as a survivor of this trafficking system that the U.S. government has been maintaining for decades. Okay, I was born in the 80s, and they were doing it before I was born. Okay, the entity is targeting what the persons of interest that you obviously Tracy Banks, but you're talking about obviously the military branches, but those that are in my life as a child. Tommy Allen Banks engaging in, he's a convicted sex offender, by the way, and this is relevant to what I am suffering. Tracy Banks is a sex offender as well. These are demons that are engaged in a sex trafficking system, trying to use witchcraft and wipe my memory away so that I don't recall what it is that I was subject to. While this entity was very much engaged in keeping me under surveillance, like I stated in that video, it's true, the entity keeping my my vagina as a child under surveillance, violating my privacy as a child. And as a child, you don't know what's proper. You don't know what's inappropriate. You're actually taught that and conditioned to accept that which is inappropriate. That didn't work on me. I'm very much aware of what's inappropriate and what is improper. And moreover, I also know the law. So everything that they try to condition me to be subject to did not work, okay? This is the entity that's typically engaged in this. And the children that they're violating, they don't keep them around. They violate them, they use them up, they literally drain them of their bodily fluids that they consume, and then they kill them and bury them somewhere, okay? But the entity, for purposes of believing that I am serving a purpose that they could, it was the grace of God that the entity did not take me out even as a child, okay? But that was for their own, again, in the minds of all things work for the good of those who love God and be called according to his purposes. So Satan, in his mind, and I'm referring to these demon-possessed people, because this is how Satan is operating. So Satan is in his mind thinking, okay, well, this child is useful because there's so much spirit, there's so much energy. That's how they refer to it. So much energy to siphon from this child who's abundant. And so you're talking about the usefulness of keeping me around, if you will. But the Lord God wasn't going to permit them to take my life under any circumstances at all. He's always going to have his will done. But this is the way in which the eternal is expressed and how it's executed in the physical, okay? But that which the Lord God has determined is going to happen. It's not a matter of a contingency when God says and what God does and what his will is and who's going to live and who's going to die. That's a matter of what God determines. And it's not going to change, regardless that Satan can only do what he has authority to do. Okay, and so while I'm a child, you're talking about not killing me off like the rest of what these demons are doing, and this is how they are acquiring. This is literally why you should not be. I'm not going to tell you, because those that walk with Christ, this is not new to you. Not only, actually, it might be new to you because I didn't know all this details about the witchcraft stuff, but I have already been spiritually led to stop listening to many of these mainstream artists. And that's because what I hear Satan, okay? And I am, that is repugnant to me. And I find it unnecessary to be successful in the music industry while you have to engage in going that route. These are demons that are puppets. And these puppets are consuming the bodily fluids of children, babies. And they're doing so in order to maintain a lifestyle. They are doing the will of the devil in order to be rewarded with fame and fortune. And also that is over. Okay, and that's the purpose of the P.O.C. as well, is to shame and expose and prosecute and aid in the prosecution of other pedophiles and child trafficking criminals that are also in these positions as celebrities, wealthy. And it's not just these celebrities. Understand, there is a whole system behind these celebrities. The celebrities are just the ones that are put on a platform in front of you to make Satanism sexy. Okay, there are billionaires behind the scenes that are putting these puppets before you, okay? And those are the ones that you're talking about, not human. Those are the ones that are consuming the bodies of children. They're consuming not only their body parts, they're consuming their fluids. This is the Nephilim. The Nephilim have made themselves powerful in the U.S. They've made themselves multi-million-dollar and billionaires. They've made themselves multi-million-dollar companies. That's what's interested in gang stalking and commercial airline planes, for example. This is why you would have that. Because the question, the rational question, why would you, exactly, why do you not have your own, I'm minding my business, okay? And you're running these multi-million-dollar companies. Why would you be interested in stalking little old me? Why? And I'm giving you the context regarding what you need to understand about yourself. You are very valuable. You have a soul. Okay? You belong. And I want to be clear, this is a matter of what is spiritual warfare. The demons are out here warring for control over you and your mind. That is literally your soul. They want you. Okay? And how do they get that? Through everything that you're consuming. The people that you are around, who all happen to be demons. Okay? And they want to make those that follow Christ, that would influence you otherwise. They want them to seem like the farthest thing that you should ever be listening to or associated with. And they also want you to think that those demons are the ones that are representing Christ. They want to, under all circumstances, have you surrounded. Okay? But God is there. God is real, and he is speaking. And Satan has not won. But there is absolute warfare over your soul. And that's also what they don't want you to know about. Okay, there is actual war over your soul, and it's not based on how much money you make. It's not based on the background that you come from. And as you have learned, as you're witnessing, those circumstances, those earthly circumstances, are capable of being manipulated. So your worth is absolutely not related to who is related to you and what neighborhood you grew up in, no matter how poor you are or even how wealthy you are. Because wealth can also be a distraction and make you think that you don't have any. It could be the exact same circumstances of one that's born into extreme poverty and born into wealth, and that's a distraction to you. The enemy knows what's going to work on. There are different tactics, and it's the same purpose, the same objective. Satan is very much engaged in what is warfare with regard to taking your mind, because he wants to take your soul. He wants you in hell with him, and hell is a real place in eternity where you will exist forever. Okay? And they're engaging in this sort of system, consuming kids and kidnapping them and stealing and consuming their fluids and gang stalking to oblivion, in order to maintain what is a position of influence out here in the world, influencing the masses, so that you think the way to live is what that celebrity's daughter is out here promoting, a polyamorous lifestyle leading you straight to hell. Okay? And you are believing that because you don't know any better. Every Christian that you ever met, these hypocrites that are on the television trying to get all your money, and not only that, every Christian that you've met in life is a closeted pedophile. They're thieves, okay? They're petty, common criminals, and that's by design, so that you would have no hope. And trying to drown out those that would speak the truth to you, that show you the love of Christ, and that he is alive and he's well, and that you are very valuable, and it's not based on your outer circumstances that can even be manipulated to deceive you. You're very valuable. That's why all of this is going on in the background. All right, and it affects you, whoever you are, down to who you are, wherever you're at in the world. It affects you, because this is what's going on in real life, and it's down to gathering as many souls to be subject to what are the pits of hell, along with all of his demons. And his demons are specifically and strategically put before you. They're on your television, they're on your devices, they're on your computers. All right, and they're influencing all those who you are around. And this is the ways in which literally the decision that you make on a day-to-day basis, and you're doing so ignorantly. You're not ignorant about how they got into that position to affect you and your outlook in the first place. They literally eat children, and they're not even humans. All right. They're doing things like vagina monitoring, and they're monitoring you and aware of who you are and whether you're believing it or not. And those that are of the other, those like me, basically, that I'm not going to be. And no matter what I was surrounded by, I've always harbored my love for Christ in my heart, and the Lord God knows that. And regardless of me being ignorant about being targeted, and I didn't need to know about it. This is a plan that the Lord God had. It's not his will that I be targeted, but you're talking about aware of sin, and this is sin that man committed. It's not God's will, and it's not his fault, but even through it, he is shielding and protecting me, and this is what he does for his children. By the way, there is nothing that the enemy can do that's going to snatch you out of his hand. Nothing, no circumstance, no gang stalking system, no government corruption, no kidnapping act, no sexual violation can snatch you out of his hand. Okay? These are tactics of the enemy to distract you away from the one who has called you to something greater. And these celebrities, they are the Nephilim. These are demons, and they are multi-million-dollar companies and company owners, and they are in a position to get there in the first place, to not only to promote Satanism, but also they do so by literally serving Satan by this trafficking system that I'm telling you about. And so this is what these celebrities are engaged in. And I want to be clear, those that have lost their lives, Brittany Murphy, Kobe Bryant, Aaliyah, Tupac, Biggie Smalls, these are celebrities that were sacrificed. These are, and even those that have not lost their lives, such as Britney Spears, she's not physically dead. That was a sacrifice she was absolutely siphoned from. She was stolen from, physically stole her money, but that's spiritually, they stole her energy. And this is that system that's underway. And so I am just going to give you real life examples of what you're looking at, and you don't actually know what you're looking at. This is that system in operation. They are murdering people in furtherance of their own careers, and they do so in honor of Satan. This is satanic. And these are celebrities that are even from the United States, and they travel around the world, and their concerts are satanic rituals. Their concert goers, their album supporters, their supporters, those are cult members. Okay? Like I said, the Beliebers, the Swifties, the Beehive, the Barbs, these are all different ways in which you're looking at demons and their cults. And this is how Satan is conditioning your mind also, subconsciously and overtly, because there are those that are overtly engaging, and they worship Beyonce, and they're not hidden about that. They're not ignorantly doing it, because you can be engaging in those types of things and not being aware of it. They are overtly doing it, but they are also subconsciously influencing you, and they are doing so in furtherance of Satan's agenda. Okay, Christ is coming back, and Satan also knows that, and he is gathering as many as he can, and doing so with regard to what is a veiled effort. It's not going to work ultimately, but in that failed ultimate objective, Satan is stealing and getting as many people to go to hell with him as possible. And that's what these celebrities have done. They've engaged in sacrificing children, kidnapping them, having sex with them, trafficking them, doing things, vile things like defecating and urinating on them while you're violating them. Am I in your way? While you're sexually violating them, and they're doing that. I'm not in the way, they're gang stalking in the store, but nonetheless, while you're sexually violating them, this is a means whereby demons are engaging. You need to understand what's behind that perversion. That's totally abnormal. That has nothing to do with the sex act. That's Satan that's engaging in what is siphoning witchcraft conduct. Okay, that is not a fetish, and those that tell you that is absolutely abnormal. And that's not based on, because I'm a Christian and I'm boring and I don't do this. No, I'm letting you know about what is reality, spiritually, what is going on. Those are demons. That is abnormal conduct. Okay? And they are doing that with regard to what they are spiritually doing to that person. Okay? And they do that typically, like I said the celebrity's name, rewind the tape, because this is what they're doing when they are putting spirits, demons, on you. You're exchanging demons. They're attaching themselves spiritually. This is how you have demons that are spiritually attacking you. And then you, after that sexual encounter, you're hearing voices. All right. You feel suicidal. You want to harm yourself. You want to harm other people. All of a sudden, you've got this violent tendency that you didn't have before. You're depressed. This is after the entity is and this is what is so deceptive about Satan and sin. Through the sex act itself, which is pleasurable, right? Through the pleasurable act of sex, you're being attacked. And you're not identifying it as an attack, because you're engaging in what is sexual activity, which is designed to bring you pleasure, physically pleasurable. That's also something that you are then in a position to become addicted to, sex, hence sex addiction, which is a demon. It's a spirit. It's a Jezebel spirit. But you're being spiritually attacked, and this is how demons are attaching to you. And this is when you're in the sin of fornication, when you're in the sin of adultery, in the sin of that's a Jezebel spirit: homosexuality, bestiality, pedophilia, sex with children, sex with those of the same gender, sex with animals. It's a perverted and demented mind state. These are not fetishes. It is not normal. It's satanic. Okay, and these are the types of things that are proven with tangible evidence in court when you're having sex with children and whatnot. And then we go into, oh, look at what he or she did to the child. They're defecating on them, and this is what this child is 14 years. Those are demons that are engaging in what are siphoning the energy of children, and this is not abnormal. It's quite common. Okay, so I just want to go into that. The entity is gang stalking me as a desperate Hail Mary, and it's not a distraction from exposing it. And so that's what I wanted to go into detail about. This is what these celebrities that you are supporting, celebrities that would never, ever, just like the gang stalker that keep their back to me, the gang stalkers that are in positions of authority, like the gang stalking mayor in Ontario. It's even more extreme with regard to celebrities and how they got on that stage to be in front of you performing at that awards show. How did they get there? What children had to die? Because that's literally what happens, and that's why they are there. They serve the devil, and they are engaging in kidnapping. They're engaging in what is pedophilia. Not only are they kidnapping children, they're having sex with them. They torture them, which is them gaining from them spiritually. That's what's behind that torturous conduct. That's what's behind sexual activity with those children that they are kidnapping. And this is how they're using their money and their resources, and they're doing it internationally. And they also bring them to the United States where they keep them under surveillance, which is what I was subject to. They kidnapped me and brought me here. Okay. And by they, I mean the system. This is what the military, this is what gang stalkers like the Los Angeles Police Department, who are on the payroll of celebrities, who are targeting you, and you have no idea that celebrities are behind you're being harassed by the police. You have no idea. And how would you? How would you know? You wouldn't. You're not supposed to. You're under surveillance by demons that are engaging in that pattern of conduct. And that's what's relevant to the entity that's gang stalking me in Ontario. And there is no payroll where you are not going to be identified and prosecuted as a celebrity. So you can just sit back and wait. Okay, because gang stalking me only made it worse for you. And because you should have stopped a long time ago. Gang stalking has only exacerbated what is going to be an inevitable, widely exposed downfall regarding demons that had no business being in the positions that you've been in the first place. And every dollar that you've earned has been on the backs of children that are buried somewhere. And with regard to the thieving sex offenders that they are, they're nothing other than gargoyles, the gargoyles that are stalking me with light. Okay, these little brokies out here that are engaging in what is willing to do anything in order to get in those positions in service of Satan, in service of the devil. And that's also why you should not be, I'm not going to, prescribe to you what you should be doing, but I'm not going to lie. This is why you shouldn't, because you're literally supporting the devil. When you buy their albums and you listen to their spell work, when you're engaging in what is going to their concerts and you're participating in their rituals. And these are things that a lot of you are probably ignorant about, and so it is my purpose to open your eyes about it, but it is disgusting to me. It is a billboard for the devil, and these demons know that they're headed straight to hell, and they've done that for about 15, 20 years of success, and then what? And then what after that? They didn't think that far into it, and they really don't care. They don't care until it happens, because they're very much scared. But these are demons. These are short-sighted opportunists. And they also don't think about the consequences of killing people. And God is counting the bodies. He's aware of every person and every act of torture. He's aware of all of it. And you're talking about what is judgment? Judgment that you cannot prepare for. All right, this is the P.O.C. It is currently 7:34 a.m. The entity is indeed stalking. That's the entity. That's every politician. That's those multi-million-dollar companies. That's the military. That's the entity that went into the bathroom stall right behind me, into the Stater Brothers 646 West Hope Boulevard, and is doing so pursuant to ongoing obsessive surveillance. That those are the celebrities that are in that bathroom stall, gang stalking me, keeping me under surveillance, and it's not going to stop them from being identified in this podcast. In fact, the more that you target me, the more that you're going to start hearing your names. Okay, this is the P.O.C. It's 7:35 a.m. And it is Friday, June 26, 2026. This is the P.O.C. I wanted to, and I'm mentioning the names of those, and I'm going to end here, but I did mention the names of those that are in my life as a child. And it is, these are sex offenders. Tracy Banks, obviously. Eric Spencer, he's a sex offender by virtue of being one that was acting like he's a sibling. whether or not this is actually my cousin, my nephew, or my brother. He's a sex offender. He's been we're relatives, and you've been keeping my vagina under surveillance. This is somebody that's in need of serious mental assessment, evaluation. Okay, this Eric Spencer is the one that I'm documenting, and you can hear me on the podcast documenting him. He's under the fake sun, as though he's reaching out to me, and he misses his sister. This is a demon that was monitoring me, number one, very malicious. And furtherance of murder, that's why he's monitoring. Don't forget that. And this is somebody that's been targeting me for as long as he lived, because I'm older than him. So his entire life, he's been monitoring me, including while he's a baby. Good morning. Including while he's a baby, and literally Tracy is monitoring with the audible activity of I've shown you the way in which the P.O.C. This is someone that was raised just like I'm showing you. These demons are gang stalking with their kids. They are raised, and Eric was raised to target me, his relative, and he chose to continue to do so as an adult, making that decision. He chose to continue as an adult. All right, there's something wrong with the mindset of that. That's a psychopath. Okay, and moreover, this is an incestuous one, keeping your relative's genitalia under surveillance, because that's exactly what he's doing while we're living together as a quote-unquote family, and the government is all up in that household, keeping my underage vagina under surveillance with my gang-stalking relatives. Okay, and that would include, I just want to be clear, sex offenders that would include Leroy Lomax Spencer, who is in West Virginia, and I documented going to West Virginia. I documented, this is on my website, this is the POC.wordpress.com, as I'm documenting all of those that I'm related to, those that I know of. They're all monitoring me. They're all interested in what is my demise. Okay, and they've been doing so, stealing from me my entire life, and also a part of what is interested in sexually violating me as demons that are spiritually attacking. Okay, so in courtrooms in the United States, and this is good because you don't want witch hunts in court, but you cannot prosecute based on spiritually attacking. What is the evidence of that? You can't prosecute. That's not a charge under the law. But what you are doing while they're spiritually attacking, you can typically get them for example, as they're spiritually attacking, they're sexually violating a child. Okay, this is the pedophilia. That's a spiritual attack. That's how they sacrifice. This is how they're engaging in that conduct. And so in courtrooms, with regard to prosecuting witches and warlocks and cults, like the Masons, like the U.S. Air Force, the U.S. Army, the U.S. Marines, like the United States that's engaging in a criminal system, the entity is engaging in criminal activity where they are engaging in what is spiritually attacking someone. I typically what I am doing is I'm finding the evidence that I can use to prosecute them in the physical, because I can't do anything with regard to, and it's irrelevant, and I would never step into a courtroom because it's not the government's concern. I am absolutely a proponent of that. It's not the judge's concern about, we're not going to talk about that in court. That's what I find that to be absurd. Okay, this is where you're getting into, okay, the judge is not Christ at all. They're not God. Okay, so that's just giving too much, and that's not proper in the first place. And this is where you'll have people that are being put in jail and put in prison and put in mental asylums based on the fraudulent claims of a witch, claiming that she was attacked because she's a Christian and she's being spiritually attacked by that witch. This is what Tracy tried to speak to me about in the court of public opinion of a bunch of puppets that she was having sex with, and she misled them into thinking that I'm some sort of witch. And I have never even watched what is that movie? Lord of the Rings. I don't even watch movies like that. I don't even watch movies about witchcraft, let alone being a witch. But this is somebody that's speaking to the impropriety that has nothing, and that has no business in the courts at all. That's not the place for it. But what you can do is, with my knowledge about what you're doing spiritually, investigating and proving the criminal that you are, because that which the demons are doing, they're engaging in criminal activity. You'll find the evidence of it. They're not engaging in that conduct and not violating the law. They absolutely are. And it's a matter of investigating in order to prove that and prosecute them for that. Okay. This is what demons are engaging in. And so, I am speaking to, the sex offenders in my early life, because this is relevant to those who are still monitoring. While the U.S. military is gang stalking Tommy Allen Banks, he's going to prison. He's been engaged in sexually violating me when I was a child. And this is with Tracy Banks. And this is, again, the sex offender Eric Spencer, who's a gang stalking relative interested in my demise in order to get away with and obstruct justice, in other words, this whole system that they're a part of. And these demons that don't even have any talent, what were you going to replace me with? Like, what are you going to do? do you draw? Do you dance? Like, what's your talent, Satan? They don't even, you're trying to sacrifice me and like you're going to take my position and you don't even have any talent. Like, what do you do, Satan, other than get on your knees and provide fellatio for people that you try to, that you are targeting in order to get them, recruit them to target me? Which is not a defense, because when you're in the military, you're in law enforcement, I don't care how much fellatio you're getting, that is not relevant regarding the consequences that you're going to be subject to for engaging what is violating the oath that you take. The police are not supposed to be stalking you, and the military are not supposed to be stalking. That's exactly what they're doing. And why are they doing it so overtly and obviously? Oh, because they're on the payroll of politicians and multi-billionaire companies and company owners and celebrities. And they're willing to go down while those fools, they're not even going to be able to spend the money while you're on their payroll. When are you going to get that check? Your family's not getting, you're not getting that money. You're getting locked up. But this is how delusional, this is how extreme it is. And that's why they're still engaging in it to date. Okay, and this is an entity that's delusional. Listen, when you're listening to my voice right now, this is how you know it's over. The fact that you're listening to my voice, it's over. Every child that you penetrated, every child that you recorded on video while your husband was penetrating those children, well, all those sex orgies that you had with those little kids, and then they came up missing, all right? And then you dropped your album the next year that went double platinum, all right? The blood sacrifice that you made. I just want to be clear, every detail. Christ is exposing it, and this is the proof to you right now. This is your confirmation. This is the prophetic message for the day. All the demons that are listening, this is your confirmation. It's all coming out. Gang stalking me was never going to be the solution. What should have happened was that you never should have targeted in the first place, because you came around to the right one. Yeah, and you can't buy me out. You can't intimidate me, and I'm going to expose. And the more you do, what tends to happen is it gets worse for you. And you're psychopaths, so you have to learn that the hard way. I understand what I'm dealing with, but I told you beforehand. All right, it is currently 7:42 a.m. This is relevant to the cult members who are related to me, but this the cult leaders the cult members that are related to me. However, this is a government system that even celebrities and politicians and company owners whose names you would never associate with. But you should, because the P.O.C. shows you how it operates. The P.O.C. is literally the foundation of what this entity is engaging in. This is how you have gang stalking companies, a whole gang stalking city. This is how you have the demons are gang in the library, into the bathroom, every aspect of society. Okay? On the internet, literally on the platforms. All right, so this is speaking to what's no longer foreign, what's not unheard of, what's actually plausible based on your understanding of how a whole surveillance system is underway. And this is how a celebrity knows what's going on with me when I've never even met them. I don't talk to them. All right, and this is how you know that they're engaging in. You have a surveillance system, and they're incentivized to harass you and pull you over when you weren't speeding and you weren't violating the law. And they're talking about your seatbelt wasn't on and your seatbelt was on. Like, what? What are you talking about? This is an entity that's targeting you. And they're demons while they engage in that. This is all demonic, pursuant to a demonic surveillance system. All right. So like I said, it is intricate. There are levels to it, but at the same time, it's also very simple. And the purpose of the P.O.C., the body of evidence that's existing for years, I've discussed at length all of the facets of it. Okay. Now that's something that's out there for the world. You take your time going through that, how God leads you. But that is an act of service that the Lord called me to do, because that's not my idea. I didn't ask to be targeted, number one, but also it wasn't my idea to get on a podcast. The Lord God told me every step of what he wanted me to do in prosecuting. Okay. And that is for you. That's what I also know. It's for you and whoever you are. Okay. It's for the masses to consume. And this is also to remove all of the illusions that have been placed by Satan. And Satan is using those that are in positions of influence. This is to remove those illusions and understand what it is that they tried to pull. And what they have successfully been. And I'm referring to nothing other than the devil. This is Satan. This is Satan's system. These are Satan's workers. This is what Satan does. But the devil, he is only like a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. And he does not have what is ongoing limitless rule over you. And no, he actually does not, especially when you submit to the Lord God. All right. You resist the devil and submit to God. Submit to God and resist the devil and he will flee from you. All right. And you're talking about as long as there is no sin that you would cling to, you're willing to let all of it go. And in furtherance of your relationship with Christ Jesus, who is literally the sacrifice that Satan cannot overcome, cannot overwhelm. In Christ, you have what is that protection? And that is literally, as you're witnessing, the covering of your very mind, all right, let alone the covering of your physical life. The Lord God that is able to call you to things that you would never fathom and outside of Christ. And that's where Satan wants you, outside of Christ, so that you never come to the realization of what God actually called you to do. And I'm going to tell you more, my friend. It's more than being a rapper. Okay, there's nothing wrong with being a rapper, and God may very well have called you to reach out to those that are in that sort of realm of influence. But I'm speaking to those that are you've got a closed mindset because that's all you've ever known. That's who I'm talking to. I'm talking to those that you've literally been living in a hole, and Satan is just feeding you like a bird. Only that what he wants you to have access to. And there is so much more, and God has so much more for you. And there is a whole existence, a whole mindset, a whole reality that you're ignorant of based upon the darkness that you have been drowning in. And not only that, it's so dark, you're not even aware of it. That's how powerful the kingdom of darkness can become. Okay? And it's all a lie out of the pit of hell. And that is the Lord God's will, that you would not be deceived. All right? And with information, okay, that knowledge is in fact power, and you have the power to make a decision, a different decision, and to not choose death. People are unfortunately subconsciously choosing death. That's how deceptive the enemy can be. All right. So it's my desire that you would not be seduced into the kingdom of darkness, that you would not be tricked into the kingdom of darkness, that you would not be bamboozled. All right. That you would not be persuaded into the kingdom of darkness, because it's not worth it, and you're ultimately giving your life. All right. And that's not God's will. He died. He gave his life for you that you would live. All right. And I personally find it to be particularly disgusting. These celebrities that are not worth the fecal matter that they're putting down in toilets based on the things that they're doing in secret. That's not going to remain a secret. They're not going to have the convenience of secrecy anymore, because you need to know what they are and how unworthy they are of being before you, influencing you. Okay, which no person should be in that position to have that sort of mass influence in the first place, let alone for Satan. All right, but you're talking about if anybody influenced you, you're talking about influencing you toward life. All right, toward the truth, not toward the pits of hell, which is what these celebrities for the devil are engaging in. Whether they are overtly engaging in what is being a banner for the devil. All right, like those that are openly engaging in Satanism and selling you products with pentagrams on it. Look, they're obviously out here just tacky with it. There are those that are equally satanic, very subtle in their ways, fully given over to Satan. And they're serving the same purpose, the same system. Okay, and that's what this is about, and that's what the P.O.C. is about. It's exposure. Okay, exposing the kingdom of darkness. Where I am at, Satan was not going to coexist. You're not going to get the convenience of being there and nobody knowing about it. Everybody's going to know about it. Everyone. Okay, and that's because I despise the wicked. All right, it is currently 7:49 a.m. It is June 26, 2026, and this is P.O.C. This is the one who's going to prison. He's a serial stalker. He's monitoring vagina with the military that you can hear stalking right here, flying over Stater Brothers. There's no flights that are occurring over the Ontario Village Shopping Center. 23103U1's been serially stalking at the Ontario Town Square, at the Arco parking lot. I documented him yesterday stalking, knowledge of the evidence and doing it again, monitoring my vagina while the stalkers are in the bathroom. So let me let you know what 8 SUG 795, the U.S. military, and this third party and the black titan. I think I said a tundra yesterday. It's the Titan. That's who I'm talking about. He's going to prison. He's invested in my demise, my murder, and he's a violent sex offender, engaging in sexual violence with the people of the state. That include these license plates, engaging in what is surveillance in the bathroom with the military, that's stalking by flying over aerial surveillance of my vagina, also in the bathroom of Stater Brothers, that's engaging in surveillance as well, including in that private space, where this is also the entity that's engaged in what is committing ongoing poisoning. And they're doing so in furtherance of murder. This is the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct. This is Stater Brothers. This is the entity that's engaged in that. And this is the evidence of defendants, the sex offenders that are stalking with the military and who are stalking in the bathroom. And this is also an engineer light. This is a demon that's in the engineer light in the bathroom while the demons are outside stalking in the path, engaging in this conduct, flying over at 11 a.m. is the current time, flying over right here where there are no flights also that are scheduled. I'll go ahead and show you what I already published today regarding the flights that are occurring from the Ontario International Airport, none of which are going to hover over the Ontario Village Shopping Center. This is where the military is very much indeed engaged in not only trafficking children, having sex with them, permitting celebrities to engage in that. They're not ignorant about the Epstein Islands the entire time. They were not ignorant about any of that. This is the conduct of the United States government. And the entity is doing so. It's 8:11 a.m. This is at approximately 8:09 a.m. and there are 0 flights that are occurring right now that are hovering over. Moreover, this is a matter of what is judicial notice. All right, this is the P.O.C. This is simultaneously the evidence that's serving for my prosecution of the airline industry that's engaging in surveillance. These are the multi-million-dollar companies that are engaging in gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department, who are monitoring my vagina. That's the department that's being disbanded. They are doing the same thing under the fake sun in the morning, which is already on video. The fake sun that I also have at this same intersection, the same village after 5 p.m. These are sex offenders who are going to prison, okay? This is the entity that's engaging in surveillance together. The military is flying over. The gang stalking police department is right over here at Starbucks at 706 706 West Holt Boulevard. This is the P.O.C. This is light activity while the police are monitoring vagina, okay? This is the police that are stalking me in the bathroom as an entity while they're in the grocery store gang stalking, going into the bathroom stalls. Ontario police are the entity that is maintaining this presence, okay? That's the pattern of conduct. The entity is engaged in this while there are, again, no flights. This isn't even a flight headed to a destination. And that's directly linked to the demons that are being disbanded. They're going to be subject to martial law, the Ontario Police Department. Okay? And then all of the corporate actors. The El Pollo Loco that you know is gang stalking. Starbucks that you know is gang stalking. Stater Brothers that you know is gang stalking. The Ontario Village Shopping Center. This is the P.O.C. Alrighty? This is, again, another homosexual lesbian that's in the grocery store gang stalking with the government. Okay? That's all you're doing inside, by the way, of a grocery store that's engaging in the pattern of conduct. While you happen to buy that cottage cheese in that store, that's nothing other than the federal RICO case. You're engaging in surveillance, and you're a lesbian with a bad BBL monitoring my vagina and doing so. That's 6 Sam Frank Jerry 271. Okay, that's P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaging in that surveillance. This is pacing. These are the mentally ill. They're being deported. Those that are not natural-born citizens, they're all being prosecuted, and they will all be subject to martial law. They engage in kidnapping children. They engage in keeping those children under surveillance. They even engage in what is procreating and giving birth to more demons that engage in this system, while they are doing so with the U.S. military that's stalking with them. The U.S. military that is highly unintelligent. These demons that are putting the Ontario Police Department in prison, the demons of that agency, and the Ontario police that are putting the people of the state in federal prison. And that's the entirety of that system. And they're all violent sex offenders, the Nephilim that are obsessed with my vagina. This is the P.O.C. Stater Brothers is being federally prosecuted. That's the pattern of conduct. David Quinones is in there gang stalking, and he's going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. It is currently 8:14 a.m. where, like I stated, the entity is engaging in that P.O.C. pursuant to what is stalking, having nothing to do with flights from the airport at all. This is the Ontario International Airport that's aware of that, and the gang stalking airlines that are aware of that. This is how the military is engaging in surveillance. And why are they surveilling me? One, that this entity has kidnapped and took me to the United States, California, where California is engaging in surveillance as a population. There's no police department in Ontario. These are vagina monitoring stalkers. They're child traffickers. They're sex offenders. And because they acted like they had authority under the law, every single last one of them that are published on YouTube for you to see and in images in my body of evidence, that is the P.O.C., are going to federal prison. This is the P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 8:15 a.m. All right, these are the child traffickers stalking with the military. License 7 PLP 968. License plate Cajon, license 1613197 in a white van. Chaffee Joint Union High School, 9 Larry Nancy Sam 633. And right here, child traffickers residing at what is 665. I want you to see the helicopter flying over me, just like yesterday. This entire city, they're being federally prosecuted. They're going to be subject to martial law. They're inside of their home, which is a facilitating venue. The military is maintaining surveillance via the people of the state at 665 West 4th Street. And this is license plate 94255 Yolanda 2. And let me go ahead and get off the facilitating venue of the demons that are gang stalking. None of this is private property. I'm going to prosecute the entity for the malicious surveillance as it's underway in the U.S. License 5, Uncle Yolanda George 549. That's the P.O.C. and they were stalking at the intersection. These are child traffickers. Excuse me. These are kidnappers, and they're engaged in child trafficking. And they're stalking me by helicopter while I document them. And this is the entity that is incentivized in doing so. And it's a failed effort exposing the fact that they are indeed engaged in trafficking children, one of whom is the one that's literally leading this investigation. Stalking on the roads and the highways. Look how Satan turns his head. All right, that's a demon. An aged one that's stalking and is doing so as a child trafficker. License 9YXG423, stalking at the intersection. This isn't traffic. The U.S. military just flew over this intersection. They're all stalking. License EP51L16, that's a Latino male with a paper plate on that Nissan, stalking. Okay, and they're stalking from the bathroom in the city of Ontario to the bathroom in the city of Upland. Okay, engaged in child trafficking. Chaffee Joint Union High School, that's who that was. Okay, Stater Brothers going out of their ways, gang stalking in a white van. That's the demons that are monitoring the evidence. This is 4th Street in San Antonio. This is P.O.C. You're going to juxtapose this with the entity stalking by helicopter in the neighborhoods where the people of the state engage in surveillance, kidnapping children as an entity, sexually violating them, trafficking them, keeping them under surveillance, and doing so in furtherance of murdering them. That's what they do together. And they also consume their bodily fluids together. They sacrifice them. They engage in witchcraft practicing concerning them together while they're gang stalking. Okay? That's the P.O.C. It is currently 8:43 a.m. Frontier, you need to know, Park, they're engaged in that criminal system, surveillance. I'm going to prosecute all these companies as well under the law, but you need to understand that this is corruption. And these are corporate entities that are engaging in the U.S. military system of kidnapping children and having sex with them and murdering them. That's what Frontier is engaged in. Okay? And they're engaging in this while the government flies over your home. You are a facilitating venue engaging in that P.O.C. And the entity is proving that while you are aware of the evidence of a fake sun that is remaining over me everywhere that I'm going, covering up the fake sun does not change that P.O.C. License plate 8MIA863, documenting this stalker following around in the city. Documented before. License WRF2685, Texas. P.O.C. Texas, that's engaged in surveillance as well in California gang stalking. It is currently 8:44 a.m. That's the entity that's engaged in what is targeting the celebrities that have the military on their payroll, that have the Ontario police and the Upland police on their payroll. Those are the same ones that they're going to prison, and they know they're going to prison for having sex with kids. All right, and then dropping albums. All right, and starring in movies. You're going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. It's 8:44 a.m. Alrighty, this is the entity. This is relevant to the military engaging in what is child trafficking and kidnapping and repeatedly kidnapping by Upland Police and the Ontario Police. Demons that are under the fake sun. That's already established. What you need to know is the 7-Eleven employees are going to prison. Okay, he's gang stalking under the fake sun in the evening. This is the Latino male that works inside of this 7-Eleven that's monitoring me while I document him. 9TDC 795. He also committed poison on behalf of the military that are stalking me outside of the 7-Eleven at 204 North Euclid Avenue. This is the same entity that's stalking me while I am at 4th Street and Euclid Avenue. This is another employee, prison, license AAA 7060. And the entity is gang stalking. This is light activity while the city of Upland is facilitating ongoing criminal monitoring. These are child traffickers, sex offenders. They kidnap children. They keep them under surveillance with the military that's flying over me, stalking me in concert with them. 8MXV071 is also stalking. While you're looking at what is public corruption. Bill Velto, he's going to be federally prosecuted. He committed kidnapping with the military in Upland, California. And he's going to be federally prosecuted for the pattern of conduct. I remain subject to a 7VGY971. I believe he's a gang stalker that works right up here at the Upland Public Library, if that's him. But nonetheless, regardless, this is the entity that is gang stalking. 7-Eleven is being federally prosecuted. This is the pattern of conduct that 7-Eleven, all 7-Elevens are sharing pursuant to surveillance. The corporate entity, that is the mask where the government's engaged in what is criminal monitoring. And what you need to know is that these billionaire, millionaire company owners and celebrities, politicians that are far removed from the gang stalkers on a day-to-day basis are engaging in this targeting conduct. They are behind what is paying the vagina monitor that's stalking me in that helicopter. This is the P.O.C. They're going to federal prison for poisoning as well. This is 7-Eleven at 204 North Euclid Avenue. This is the entity that's not distracting away from celebrities and politicians and corporate actors like the owner of Amazon Prime. You know his name. And that's why Amazon Prime is gang stalking me and I'm prosecuting him. He's a terrorist leader and he's also engaged in this conduct of trafficking children, engaging in what is kidnapping them, gang stalking them into obstruction. No, that's not happening. I will prosecute you. I'll document you. Amazon Prime is targeting me based on the pattern of conduct that the military is engaging in. And Amazon Prime is a terrorist that engages in stalking and harassing and psychologically torturing even more. As an example, the more I document, the more that they're gang stalking me. And there's a cost for that. And it's also a federal prosecution. 7-Eleven employees, nonetheless, are going to prison. They're gang stalking, and that's exactly why I documented taking images of the people of the state. They're gang stalking at the gas stalls. That's the prosecution of federal prison. I just took pictures, then the entity stalking by helicopter, that's prison. Okay, that's the P.O.C. It is currently 9:34 a.m. under the fake sun. The fake sun that's shining right here over me. All right, this is my shadow on the fort. This is light activity while the city of Upland's maintaining what is a means of facilitation, surveillance. The gang stalking school district, the gang stalking businesses, the gang stalking minors, and the gang stalking population who are engaging in very much kidnapping children while celebrities are feeding off of them and maintaining what are platforms to influence the world, while Satan is accomplishing, to give you a long and short, a succinct version of what Satan is doing. And it's criminal activity that they're being prosecuted for. All right, and this is the conduct of Satan, stalking somebody in a helicopter in the United States of America at that. Very specific individuals are being prosecuted for it, going to prison for it, and being committed for it. This is P.O.C. Common sense, just like yesterday, while I'm in Ontario and on this same street, the entity is stalking me by helicopter. Doing so, and everybody in that neighborhood, everybody on the roads and the highways, every license plate, the fake sun over my head. This is the same street, and the fake sun over my head, that was after 5 p.m. And where was I headed? Bethel congregation that's engaged in gang stalking me and furtherance of murder, and that is federal prison. They're systematically targeting with the military, keeping me under surveillance. It's the same thing with the Upland Public Library. Moreover, I have the evidence of the entity keeping this fake sun until the library closes over me at that venue. They're going to prison. Every angle, every means of targeting is leading to what is inevitable prison for those who are trafficking children, for those who are engaged in what is not only sex trafficking them, keeping them under surveillance, stealing from them, violating, psychologically torturing them, abusing them, murdering them, stalking them until the point that they are murdered. And you are sharing in that murder while you are gang stalking, monitoring any child that the government kidnaps and takes across the globe. This is a system, a syndicate, a criminal pattern of conduct. And the ones in Upland Public Library are going to federal prison for it. That's what you're learning about the entity that's stalking by helicopter. All they do is expose everybody. That's all that the government is doing. And that's all that's going to be the result. That's the P.O.C. It is currently 9:36 a.m. It is currently 5:18 p.m. So this is the maintenance of the specific environment, which is captured in images, even giving you examples of what is the pattern of conduct. The people of the state under the light source upon entry during the 10 a.m. hour on the staircase, the people of the state inside of the same library, the same address. That's the same ecological address, latitude and longitude not changing, same structure. And that light source is over the same ceiling that it was at 10 o'clock in the morning, and you're looking at the same face. This is the entity engaging in that pattern of conduct. That is, under the law, stalking. And it's the government that's stalking. It's an entity that is stalking. They're demons that are stalking. And that is a supernatural crime scene. And that's the malice of a government that is engaged in what is kidnapping children, trafficking them, keeping them under surveillance that is including technology, an unlawful search on your device that is federal stalking under Title 18. It is also that which is inhumane. You're being monitored, your every movement, your genitalia in private spaces, everywhere that you go, when you're conscious and when you're unconscious. All right, this is an entity that's engaging in that, and they're demons that are doing that. The U.S. military that are stalking me under the fake sun at 9:32 a.m. is maintaining that same fake son at this same library, like I stated in that video, which is the case. And the entities engaging in what is that ongoing pattern of stalking by helicopter. That's the military that is serving to prosecute its co-defendant, the people of the state of California, which is the prosecution of the people of the state. The United States is being federally prosecuted. So the population is engaging in what California is doing throughout the country. And California is being put on the map for horrendous reasons. Alrighty, the entities engaging what is keeping this fake sun, and the demons are inside stalking everything that you know by the proof of the fake sun, and even the stalkers as you show them, as I show you, and you see them in the Google Drive. You'll see the same face under the fake sun during the 10 a.m. hour, and I'll show you the face again. And there's the fake sun 6 hours later inside of the same address. What all of that entity is doing is the same thing that stalker whose face you see, they're all sharing in that same purpose, stalking one person, which is psychotic. And the psychotic behavior is attributed to the fact that these are demons. This is the Nephilim. The entity that you hear this morning stalking by, sorry, one second. The entity that you hear this morning stalking by planes at the town square. That you hear stalking plane after plane after plane after plane after plane. When you listen to that evidence, that's evidence that's going to be analyzed. I'm analyzing it now. I'm translating it for you now. It's not based on my opinion. It's based on what is evidence. That is a matter of applying legal reasoning, also applying what is factual analysis. Okay, what is logical? What's logically occurring when you're getting the behavioral pattern over and over and over again, and that behavioral pattern occurring amongst what are ostensibly strangers. They're not having a meeting before they all come and act like strangers in the library, right? So you have a behavioral pattern in a supernatural environment that is clinically referred to as a pattern of conduct. And I go to random places and I document that pattern of conduct, and that's what the P.O.C. provides. Now, this is a government system that's engaging in what is surveillance amongst an entity, a population that are identical. They are not individuals. They're maintaining a criminal system, a pattern of conduct, which is also speaking to under the law, you are not individuals. This is the government that is wearing the mask of a population that are engaging in a pattern of conduct, and they have stripped themselves. They're not even humans anyway. The Constitution is designed to protect American citizens, not the Nephilim. And that's what the Nephilim is doing. That's what demons are doing. That's what the domestic terrorists in the U.S. are engaging in. And it is terrorism. And so while the entities engage in that, what you also know, while I show you the fake sun and I show you the faces of those who are stalking, you also know that they're engaged in psychological torture. That's the whole purpose for what it is they're engaging in. And they do so as psychopaths, sitting all around you as though they have a right to be there. The government doesn't have a right, and they are the government. The government does not have a right to sit and surveil you in the library, to follow you into the bathroom, to get a job at that library, to stalk you obsessively. Okay? That's what the government is doing. And it's going to be analyzed just like any other psychotic stalker that will go to extreme lengths to keep you under surveillance. And then also remember what the government's pattern of conduct is, to falsely depict your character while it is exposing and exhibiting severe instability that is requiring involuntary commitments. That psychopath, that entity that is sick and deranged, seeks to criminally defame the one that they're obsessed with, the one that they're worshiping, the one that they're stalking, the one that they're kidnapping, sex trafficking, stealing from, stealing their identity, murdering them, and engaging in what is all manner of demented behavior with even their corpses and their bodily fluids, which is what the Nephilim, not humans, are doing with the bodies of children, that they are gang stalking. This is what the system of gang stalking serves. So when I'm showing you the faces of stalkers that are monitoring, you're looking at what is relevant context, what else they're doing. They're also engaged in kidnapping as a system, as an entity, and trafficking children as a system, as an entity, on behalf of the military that you see stalking me. Headed to Bethel Congregation yesterday evening on this same street by helicopter. Headed to the Upland Public Library this morning by helicopter. Stalking me at the Ovid Family Community Library at nightfall by helicopter. That U.S. military. That entity that's telling on everyone while they're not distracting away from being prosecuted for maintaining an international criminal system regarding kidnapping and trafficking and murdering children. Okay, this is the P.O.C. and they do that in concert with celebrities in the U.S. that are making money, living lifestyles as witches, practicing witchcraft that is funded, facilitated, enabled by the murder, the torture of children. And all that is down to what are the details of gang stalking at the Upland Public Library. Just another venue where I'm at, subject to that P.O.C. And the entity that is engaging in trafficking children wants you to hear the voice of children that are also gang stalking. The Nephilim procreate, unfortunately. They engage in what is giving birth to demons. That's what you're listening to in the background. Nothing cute about it at all. It is the P.O.C. It's 5:24 p.m. And the fake sun remains over the Upland Public Library, where that employee is stalking at the 7-Eleven. He's going to prison, and so are all the rest of his coworkers. And they're going to prison because the people that stayed are inside of this library gang stalking with them. You're going to prison for that. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, the serial stalker that is going to prison. This is the white male that's ducking while he is aware that he's subject to documentation. He's gang stalking serially with the Upland Public Library, that's the city of Upland, and with the Upland Police Department. He is stalking by going into the male restroom in order to monitor my vagina, which is what these sex offenders engage in as I begin packing up my property, as I begin movement, change in activity. In other words, not only is it stalking with activity under the fake sun, which is remaining present, you'll see that, it is the entity's engagement in what is the pattern of conduct while they get into position in the event that I go into the restroom, and the entity is engaged in the psychotic behavior of surrounding at all locations inside of a building, which includes the bathroom, okay, where sex offenders are gang stalking. Non-humans are monitoring your genitalia. And this is the government that's engaging in facilitating that. In the women's restroom, we're right next to the male restroom, where a bunch of demons pace in and out while they're together, violating the privacy of an American citizen, what I represent. But these are males that are sexually violating together as an entity on behalf of the state. A woman monitoring specifically in furtherance of murder. That's a sex offense occurring in a private space pursuant to what is ongoing documentation. So that's all legally relevant. That's why I'm laying that out. And then you're also engaging in that while the entity is engaging in what is referred to as the perpetual sex offense. This is everything that the employees are going to prison for. So this third party, he's going to prison. He goes into the male restroom, and he does so as I capture images of the fake sun. This demon does so while, remember, they're aware of everything that I'm doing on my phone. He makes a decision to go up into the male restroom, monitoring me. But they also like to do that while I document, and they go right into the bathroom to let me know that they're monitoring my vagina. And they also know you're going to prison. That's the bottom line, because you're going to prison. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 5:29 p.m. under the fake sun, where the entity is engaged in what is ongoing bathroom monitoring. That's what's relevant, and that's what's already known and established when the entity is maintaining an environment like this, and they are engaging in nothing other than pacing. Well, it's the Nephilim. All they're doing is pacing back and forth and back and forth for hours. This is revealing what is closeted mental illness. Okay, they're not humans, and they're also not sane. And they're engaged in this in furtherance of murdering what are essentially children that they keep under surveillance that are kidnapped and trafficked across the globe. All right, and the U.S. military is engaging in this. All right, that is enough said. It is indeed terrorism. This is P.O.C. It's 5:30 p.m. Alrighty, I believe his name is Adam Tuckerman. All right, that's what you're capturing right now, following into the private space. And this is while keeping ongoing, diligent documentation, surveillance of the device, walking right into the bathroom behind me. This is P.O.C. And the subject is captured as well, but it is the entity that's going to prison for it. Oh, there's no soap over there. Caucasian female with a butch haircut. She's a serial offender. She's come to the bathroom monitoring my vagina on more than one occasion. And she follows right into the bathroom. It's very perverted, and it's also very bold what the demons do when they're monitoring. And Adam Tuckerman's right outside. He's going to prison. So while the demons follow me into the bathroom, that sex offender is going to federal prison for it. The people of the state are being prosecuted. The city of Upland is being federally prosecuted. There are ways to deal with terrorism by a whole city, and Upland is already dealt with. The demons that are working in the venue, following someone into a bathroom to stalk them, you are going to federal prison. And that's what this white female is doing, following into the restroom, and doing so while they are also aware that they're being documented. You are analyzing the mindset behind that. You are going to prosecute for the psychological harm behind that, which the American people are subject to, while a bunch of non-humans are stalking them obsessively. Okay? Following into the bathroom is psychotic and perverted. And it's the government on top of that. This is the P.O.C. It's 5:33 p.m. and the employees are going to federal prison for stalking in a bathroom as an entity. It's up in Public Library under the fake sun, 5:33 p.m. One of the homeless demons walks out, stalking, engaging in psychological torture. This is Loaves and Fishes, monitoring with the homeless that they're serving meals to. One of these demons that also gang stalks at the laundromat walks outside while the military is stalking by commercial plane, and that's concerted conduct. They're engaged in psychological torture, and this is a corrupt business, a fake church, and they're going to be prosecuted. This is P.O.C.
Hi.
Hi.
Can I get you to sign in?
Sure.
Thank you.
You need the time?
No.
No, just
How's your day going?
I'm blessed. How are you?
Good. Mine's blessed too.
Good.
I hope you enjoy the meal.
Thank you.
We
What
have
is it?
Hot dogs and beans and a pasta salad and chips and ice cream. Enjoy.
It looks kind of full. Are there any tables?
Let me find a seat for you.
Right here? Oh,
Is
okay.
this your first time here?
No, I've been here before. Thank you.
What is your first name?
Erica.
Erica.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
Erica.
Oh, it's
Those are friends of mine that came. This is our first time. Nobody's been here, Gus, Al, but anyhow, have a good
Thank
one.
you, I appreciate it. I think that's funny. She knows that she's being recorded. They know who I am. This is the Nephilim. The fake sun is over me, and the enemy is targeting with commercial planes. She knows exactly who I am. And everybody in here is sharing in gang stalking. Hi.
Pink lemonade, water, coffee.
Water. Yes, please. They know exactly who I am based on the pattern of conduct that they're engaging in. But I just want to make sure that you can hear me. The entity is engaging in, I'm going to repeat what I just said just in case you couldn't. The entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct, and the entity is speaking to, asking me who I am and my name and being very courteous, okay? This is the type of treatment you should get. It's audible activity. First of all, it's malicious. Thank you. And it's accomplishing the same criminal purpose. What the entity is doing is maliciously targeting. So you have one of the homeless demons that are engaging in walking out of the venue that's covered under the fake sun that followed me from the library. This is the same street where the entity was stalking this morning at 9:32 a.m. And the entity is engaging in what is asking me my name, which you already know. The fake sun is here. You're targeting. The military is targeting me here. That's the psychopathic behavior. This is what is going to be diagnosed in order to prosecute, and with regard to the mental examinations, that's coexisting. And you hear what the demons are stating, okay? That's highly malicious conduct, and that's why I answer the questions, but it's laughable. The entities engaging in what is targeting, these are all the same demons that are gang stalking throughout the city of Ontario on an ongoing basis. You've got Rosa that's engaging gang stalking with all of her kids. You have the demons that are gang stalking at the laundromat. You have the demons that are gang stalking at the Open Family Community Library. You have the demons that are gang stalking at the when I'm walking outside and they're maintaining the pattern of conduct. Oh no, I'm fine.
You don't want for the hot dogs?
Yeah, no, I'm fine.
No?
Thank you. I will not be eating any of the hot dogs. But the entity's engaging in that pattern of conduct. And so this is the document, okay, regardless of my not eating the food, because the entity went out of its way to engage in terrorism by stalking by helicopter. And you are going to federal prison. The entity's including what is engineered light inside of the venue, they're also communicating a threat by that. You're going to prison for these things. So this is the entity that's engaged in those calculated methods of targeting, and this is the entity that's being targeted with evidence so that the people that need to go to prison that's exactly where they're going. It is currently 6:20 p.m. This is called Loaves and Fishes at the intersection of I Street and Euclid, where I'm walking by in the morning and the entity is stalking me. The City of Ontario targeting, again, you know exactly who I am, but this is the entity that's engaging in that and not fooling anybody. This is for your education, okay? This is the entity that's engaging in what is malicious conduct. It is 6:20 p.m. This is P.O.C. walking in and engaging in that pattern with the military, stalking by plane, doing so silently, just walking through the vehicle crossing path, and that's the entity that is engaged in what is hate-filled, malicious conduct and furtherance of murder, and that is juxtaposed with what is providing the free meal. Thank you. And that's the P.O.C. by the Nephilim. These are non-humans. These are demons. P.O.C. This is Southwest Airlines. There are absolutely 0 flights coming from Terminal 4 that are going to be This is not even over G Street. They are flying over the Pizza Hut, flying over the residential area. I am in between what is H as in Henry at Euclid Avenue, in front of the potential immigrants' homes. And while they're serially engaged in targeting me, the entity stalking me by helicopter right here. You have Black Knight engaged in what is documented ongoing acts of targeting me with light right here. The entity engaged in what is criminal summoning right here. The entity engaged in criminal summoning through AMR and the Ontario Police right here. This is how the people of the state that live in relevant position who are gang stalking you engage in that pattern of conduct. And they're doing so right now with Southwest Airlines under the fake sun. It's currently 7:05 p.m. And just like I stated in the other video where the people of the state went out of their way to come outside with her phone. Remember that video? Because it's going to be attached to this. This is the entity that's going to be deported. They're gang stalking where they live. Not only is this entire city subject to martial law, they're being federally prosecuted. They will be subject to federal prison while they stay inside of their doors, even if they claim they were at Stater Brothers while the entity was stalking by plane. This is the entity that is under the fake sun that would never be the natural environment. Speaking to what is the entity that is targeting on the roads and the highways. This is P.O.C. at what is 748 and 750 North Euclid Avenue. P.O.C. It is at what is 7:06 p.m. where the people of the state are targeting me at these facilitating venues, which is relevant. You're also getting to a serial stalker. Just like the people of the state, they like to engage in going to the library every day, serially stalking me. We're going to federal prison. The entity likes to engage in the pattern of conduct. They like to engage in stalking you by helicopter at the same house all the time. All right, that's the entity that's going to federal prison. And these are the tactics of the entity that's putting itself away. You're going to prison. And this is the surveillance system that is paid for by those that are even sitting up watching me prosecute you, who are invested in these demons that are going to serve for me to prosecute you at a distance, because that's what's happening. I'm prosecuting you, or you are not at any sort of distance away. Your investment into targeting me, your engagement and your interest, your corrupt interest in targeting me through a population of the Nephilim, which you are as well. The prosecution of, again, Southwest Airlines. This is speaking to the entity that's going to be serving to prosecute the entire airline industry while they are gang stalking me specifically under a fake sun, and doing so at 7:07 p.m. This is all serving what is that ongoing greater prosecutorial purposes, those prosecutorial purposes. This is the P.O.C. The City of Ontario is targeting. That's the military stalking, while I am subject to that pattern of conduct everywhere that I'm going. And following me, stalking me from the fake church is the evidence that that fake church is gang stalking. Just so in case you didn't gather that. That's the P.O.C. It is currently 7:07 p.m. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. I just want to document the military is monitoring this position of this vehicle that's in the parking spot. It's in alignment with the bathroom. They're monitoring my vagina. They're gang stalking. This is the military that's flying over this apartment building as well. This is indeed relevant positioning. This is license plate 6LPY131. And this is also related companies engaging in the perpetual sex offense. 7GKC474, engaging in the perpetual sex offense. This is criminal monitoring. This is the documentation of sex offenders engaging in the P.O.C. and furtherance of murder with the military. License 792UK. The entity is engaging in that pattern of conduct while they are monitoring in the private space. Again, this is city center apartments where the entity is engaged in that pattern of conduct, and this is relevant to the entity that leaves any means of light activity. The elderly are right in here, the gang stalking geezers that I showed you during the 7 a.m. hour, the fake sons over me at the city hall. They're monitoring in the bathroom, they're monitoring in the restroom inside, and so they are in relevant position while a demon has which is a means of light activity, and the entity amplifying the sound of Union Pacific. All right, this is P.O.C. This is an entity that's going to be subject to they're going to be prosecuted as terrorists, and they're going to be identified as sex offenders, and this is what the entity is doing. These are not humans, though. This is the Nephilim. So these are mentally ill people who are going to be massacred in courts. All right, their records, their life, and what they're able to do, such as live in a home anymore, and the entities engaging in sacrificing that because they're mentally ill, they are psychotic, and they're sacrificing this over monitoring somebody that's fully prosecuting them and exposing their identity on the internet while they're subject to a criminal prosecution right now. It's not happening in the future. I'm prosecuting. The federal government is watching me prosecute and identify terrorists, and they are being prosecuted in real time. But I just want to document that. This is the city senior apartments that are engaging, and this is the senior center engaging in what is bathroom monitoring. This is the government that's keeping you under surveillance in a private space. Related companies, Ovid Family Community Library, Union Pacific, Metro 102 Apartments, the City of Ontario, and this is the Wells Fargo at 240 North Euclid Avenue. The Ontario Town Square, the people of the state are gang stalking at that venue. They're all monitoring together while a demon comes in proximity to where the bathroom is, where my vagina is exposed, and I'm subject to surveillance in that private space. All right, this is P.O.C. It is currently 8:02 p.m. All right, this is a documentation of violent sex offender gang stalking and furtherance of murder. P.O.C. P.O.C. The entity is stalking by helicopter. This is the Ovid Family Community Library, related companies, senior citizen apartment complex at 280 North Limit Apartments, where the people of the state were stalking, monitoring my vagina inside of the senior center, doing so on behalf of that military that's a violent sex offender. These are the Nephilim. These are the non-humans that have been stalking me all day long since I started the day. The entity stalking with commercial planes at this same location, stalking with helicopter as I'm walking into Upland, California. The entity engaging what is stalking by helicopter right now, doing so with the people of the state. The one that engaged in battery at the fake church is monitoring with the military by helicopter. He is going to prison. He's also engaged in that vagina monitoring where the people of the state keep that vehicle with the hazard lights on. The entity's engaging in this. It is currently 8:49 p.m. This is the ongoing gang violence that the entity ceaselessly engaging in, and they shall be subject to federal prison. And they represent multiple groups. You're talking about the venues where I'm going to, the entity systematically engaging in gang stalking, the entity losing housing benefits such as related companies. This is a housing community. They are regulated by HUD housing. They're losing all of this, and that company's not participating in HUD housing. These are all the ways in which it's going to be surrounded with legislation in order to deal with this gang violence. But that is nonetheless the military that's stalking, and they're stalking with everybody in this environment. This is relevant positioning, and they're being federally prosecuted. They are the people of the state, and the people of the state are being federally prosecuted as an entity that is gang stalking with those terrorist leaders. And I want to be clear, like I said, the Osama bin Ladens of the U.S. military, over the gang stalkers of the Marines, the gang stalkers of the Army, the gang stalkers of the Air Force, etc. They're going to prison. Okay, they're going to federal prison, and the gang stalkers that are in office, the gang stalkers that are the CEOs and the company owners that have invested in gang stalking me, and it's not working with regard to what is silencing me or distracting away from the fact that you kidnap children, you move them across the globe, you keep them under surveillance, you have sex with them, you traffic them, you steal from them, you steal their identities, you engage in what is selling them, and then burying their bodies. You're being federally prosecuted. That's literally why you're stalking me, and you are stalking me while your money is funding these demons that are stalking in helicopter, and you are being prosecuted and specifically identified. This is the pattern of conduct the military is serving to prosecute all of the terrorists who are the people of the state. That's the only thing that these demons are doing. They are totally surrounded, and they are already convicted. They are aiding in what is your ability to identify and understand what is terrorism in the United States and what Satan is doing, so that you are not ignorant about the systems that are underway. Okay, this is P.O.C. This is the entity stalking by helicopter, just so that you know that the ongoing pattern of conduct that I documented in the previous video, she is indeed a homosexual. I took a picture of her. I put it on Facebook, on Instagram. I put it on X. And this is relevant to what is the entity that is gang stalking on behalf of the sex offenders that are engaging in terrorism under the guise of having authority as the military, and they don't. And they're being prosecuted. They're going to be dealt with. This is P.O.C. It is currently 8:51 p.m. This is P.O.C. This is the evidence of the people of the state who are gang stalking. This is evidence of the people of the state who are terrorists. So, like I said, everybody that works in the library, that Adam Tuckerman, like I'm documenting, monitoring me in the bath and my vagina in the bath, he's going to prison. Everybody that works at the Open Family Community Library, they're going to federal prison. The people of the state that are gang stalking, kidnapping at Woodside Senior Apartments, they're going to prison. The entity that's engaging in what is kidnapping at Starbucks, they're going to prison. The entity that's engaging in the pattern of conduct, Stephanie Ortiz, engaging in criminal summoning in Fontana, the Fontana Lewis Library, going to prison. You're talking about the entity that's gang stalking, the Ontario Police. What do you think they're doing when they are engaging what is crossing path under the fake sun? They're stalking with the military who are deranged. I want you to hear the helicopter too. Because all they're doing is flying in circles, obsessing over me. Obsessing over me, who is, I'm going to continue to let you know about the fact that the military have sex with children. They kidnap them across the world. And they bring them to the U.S. to do this to them. To stalk them, monitor, and psychologically torture them. And they're going to prison for it. It's P.O.C. There's no other reason, by the way, why the entity would be interested in this level of targeting, doing so with the people of the state who are equally engaging in and have an appetite to eat children. These are not humans. They're also not showing themselves to not be humans while they're all under the fake sun. They're all demons. Alrighty, this is the P.O.C. I'm capturing the people of the state stalking in the path, walking in the Civic Center with his prop. That's a dog. While the entity is just flying in circles, this is a psychopath. This is a demon that's wearing a diaper. Alright, engaging in what is obsessing over me at the Ovid Family Community Library. It's 8:58 p.m. This is all going toward the people of the state. The U.S. military, you're talking about dishonorably discharged. They're going to prison. They're getting committed. That's axiomatic. The P.O.C. is to make sure that the people of the state are seen as the terrorists that they are. Martial law will reign. And also, you're talking about the breakdown of the society. It's being entirely defunded. Entirely defunded. They're flying over the roof of the Ovid Family Community Library where I'm seated. Metro 102 Apartments is gang stalking. Downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments is gang stalking. That's Sarah's Regis Group. The housing community, obviously. The University of Laverne College of Law is gang stalking. The Ontario Town Square Townhomes gang stalking. The entity that Mule Car Smokehouse. The people of the state, Ontario Town Square is a state facilitating venue. They're stalking at that square. Securitas is gang stalking and stalking at that Ontario Town Square as well. This is the entity that's engaged in that and focusing on me by flying in circles over me. And this is the entity that is serving for what is the federal prosecution of an entire state of the U.S. government. I just want to be clear. Not only is no mayor staying in office, Gavin Newsom, the so-called governor, whoever's in, they're not staying in office. Just want to let you know. This is axiomatic. This is refueling terrorism in the state. You're not remaining in office. This is the absurdity of terrorism that I'm documenting at this level. Every level of government is hereby exposed. And there's not even going to be a need for, by the way, a governor. You're not going to be exercising any power. The state of California is going to be subject to martial law. But this is the entity engaging in psychopathic pacing at 9 p.m. And this is relevant to the entity that is very much fearful of my podcast that I'm going to publish. And I'm going to include this excerpt in it as well. But this is the entity that does not have any sort of way to help the celebrities that are being exposed for engaging in criminal monitoring with gang stalking terrorists like the U.S. military, the Air Force, the people of the state and the city of Ontario that have failed in controlling and containing the fact that they're engaging in trafficking children. And one of those that they have engaged in targeting, which is myself, is prosecuting them for it, and has created an entire means whereby you're prosecuting the rest of the entity, not just Tracy Banks, okay, not just Jason Fields, not even just the Ontario Police Department. Okay, this is serving for what is prosecuting an entire system, and that's what the P.O.C. serves. And this is the entity that's only incriminating itself, and it's also exposing the fact that mental instability is naturally built into the prosecution of an entity that is gang stalking. And these are non-humans, meaning these are the mentally ill. It's POC. The military is engaging in the pattern of conduct, and the entirety of an entity is aware of the fact that helicopter is used to fly in circles over the library, and the people of the state that are running through and walking out, they're all engaging in that ongoing stalking and gang stalking conduct together. And this is the entity that's engaging in that. And what you're mindful of is when I'm capturing the fake son and I'm inside of any library where I chiefly spend most of my day, and you're looking at Alyssa's face, you're looking at Alan's face, you're looking at the back of Adam Tuckerman's face. Those are all the demons that are going to prison. They are this entity that's engaging in this pattern of conduct, and they are exposing themselves. While they're gang stalking right now, at what is 9:02 p.m. They're going to federal prison, and there is no other result that's going to result from this. The absurdity of gang stalking at this level. Because the entity is fearful of the fact that they have all manner of sexual activity with children, and then they discard them and consume their bodily fluids. And that's not going to be contained, and it certainly isn't going away. And it's not distracted away from while you are stalking somebody that's exposing it by helicopter activity. In fact, it lets you know that exactly what I'm describing to you is 100% true, including the demon that is stalking in the helicopter. That's not a human, that's a demon. And they are engaged in what is that conduct of targeting children in this manner. Okay, this is the POC. I'm going to include this in the podcast, and this is the entity that's engaging in that. I want to be clear. I'm documenting license plates of an entity that's engaging in this, and all of whom that I document, they are specifically identified amongst the entirety of that entity. This is the government. Every single person in the state of California is engaging in the system. Every single last one of them. That's why the system, this is why I'm subject to the pattern code. This is why I live in California. The government placed me here because of what the entire population is engaging in. And nobody is here. Nobody is immigrating. Nobody is like relocating. Nobody is moving to the state of California ignorant of that. That's literally what the government is engaging in. And while the entity is documented, I document 13 license plates. All those 13 license plates are nothing other than specifically identified amongst the entire entity as those terrorists that I encountered and I specifically identified. And they are sharing in what is this ongoing terrorism, and it's relevant to the prosecution of that entire population as well. So I just want you to be mindful of that. You're looking at the identification of terrorists as they are shared on the Google Drive, their license plates, their images, and the pattern of conduct as I encounter them. All right, this is POC. It is currently 9:04 p.m. This is the criminal activity. What you need to know also, I just want you to be clear, the politicians in California, the celebrities, are you aware of those that are residing in California, that reside to California, that frequent California even? Because they're equally demons. These are not humans. There are a lot of celebrities that live on Mulholland Drive. There are a lot of celebrities that live in Los Angeles. They're monitoring me right now with the entity that's stalking in helicopter, and you need to know that they are equally sex offenders. They're equally mentally ill. These are demons. They're gargoyles that are going by the adjective of celebrities. They are nothing at all that you should be aspiring to be like or even pay attention to. And that's going to be adjusted because the Lord God is going to permit you to watch. You need to witness the downfall, the demise of demons that are sitting on platforms that they have sacrificed children to be on. And it is the entity that's engaging in this criminal activity, which is I'm the one that's exposing it. And that's why they're engaging in what is admitting that they're targeting me for that purpose. Okay, this is POC. This is also letting you know that Tracy Banks is going to be committed and she's going to expire in a facility. And I'm not celebrating that. Tracy Banks did it to herself. She's as mentally ill as Stalking in a Helicopter portrays, exhibits. Okay, and that's shared. You are looking at what and listening to a pattern of conduct that is the identical condition, the identical criminal conduct, the identical state of those that are. This is an entity of demons. And so I just want you to also have that in mind while you're listening to the entity. This video is at 9 minutes and 46 seconds. And this is a non-human that's stalking. Okay. And this is an entity that is unhinged with its frustration with me because it's a demonic spirit. It's the Nephilim. It's a demon. It's a creature that is hostile with regard to my superiority to it and to all of them. Okay, that's the reality. And they're also hostile because of the truth that they know is happening. They're going to prison, and they're going to prison as violent sex offenders and terrorists, and they will not be known as celebrities anymore. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 9:07 p.m. This is under the fake moon as well, by the way. I'm going to go ahead and give you a snippet of that. Alrighty. This is for the podcast, but I'm going to give a snippet of this video. This is what the entity's been doing for 9 minutes. Right here at the end, I walked right over to the edge so you can see, and you can also see the fake moon right. The environment is letting you know that this is a demon who was targeting me, and targeting me with helicopter is, I just want to be clear how psychotic that is. This is where the entity at the end of at this building right here where I'm seated is where they're flying in circles over me. This is an entity that is engaging in what is lusting over murder. They're doing that because they have a desire, a purpose to commit murder. And they're doing that and communicating that before the military tribunal, who are going to commit the demons of the U.S. military, the demons of the Ontario police to prison. All right. They are also mentally ill while they do so in the psychopathic manner, such as having a fake sun and a fake moon, where they are stalking one person and worshiping that person, even worshiping my genitalia. Alrighty, this is the P.O.C. and this video is at 11 minutes. This is for the podcast, but I'm going to include this visual, this snippet in this video, so it's very clear. The video is only going to be about 2 minutes long because I'm providing this visual, and the rest, this is all going on the podcast though. All right, this is relevant for the entity that's engaging in torture. And I want to be clear, they kidnap children and they torture them. They have sex with them. That's also a part of torturing them. And they also consume their bodily fluids, literally draining them dry, and then they get rid of the body. I just want you to know that's what's stalking me in helicopters right now. And that's what's behind the mentally ill behavior of stalking in a helicopter. And that's what's stalking on a bike right now, demons. Together. P.O.C. Under the fake moon, multiple shadows. That's a population of demons that are monitoring together. Big Boy is a gang stalking sex offender. All right. And they have an appetite for not only sex with children, but this is how they are engaging in what is the practice of witchcraft. This is not witchcraft. This is an admission to terrorism and further into murder. And it is relevant to the system that the U.S. military is maintaining, kidnapping children across the globe and murdering them, kidnapping them, and stealing from them. This is the P.O.C. This is why Tracy Banks is going to prison. Okay. This is why she stole my identity. And this is why she has permitted the government to engage in what is sex trafficking, which she also participates in. It's currently 9:09 p.m. And this is the co-defendant, her own co-defendant that's providing evidence against her. And not just her, but everybody that's cooperating with her. Everybody that sat in court. Gregory Hooper and Ruth Hooper, you're going to prison. I just want you to, this is how this evidence works. You're going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. You're going to federal prison as sex offenders as well. Alrighty, it is currently 9:10 p.m. Psychopathic pacing, P.O.C.